Chapter 1961. As Duan Lingtian looked over to the where Guo Shang was staring at, he saw a vast and boundless valley. Numerous islands were suspended in the sky above this valley. It housed buildings that were shrouded in clouds and mist and could not be seen clearly. When Duan Lingtian looked down, he could see groups of people coming in and out of the valley. When these people came out, they were all headed to the same place. The zone before us is the punishment zone in the first mine. These people are all four symbols sanctums, disciples who have been sentenced to serve here, Guo Shang said. In the punishment zone, each of the four symbols sanctums disciple has a specific task to accomplish. Only after they've finished their tasks, they're allowed to return to their residence and rest. Why are they entering and leaving so frequently? Are those people who left people who have finished their tasks? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. How's that possible? Guo Shang shook his head. Those people who are coming out are handing over saint stones they mined. Since they don't have spatial rings, they have to frequently send saint stones they have mined to the appointed location. Only when they have mined the set number of saint stone they're allowed to rest. Look at the wicker baskets on their backs. All the saint stones they mined will be placed in the basket. This is also the rule in the punishment zone. Upon hearing that, Duan Lingtian began to watch these people intently. True enough, he discovered the people coming in and out of the caves carried a huge basket on their backs. Upon closer inspection, he saw that those who came out had their baskets filled with saint stones, and those who were going back in had empty baskets. As for why these four symbols sanctums, disciples who were serving in the penalty zone did not have any spatial ring, Duan Lingtian could roughly guess the reason as well. Their spatial rings must have been taken away when they came to the punishment zone. If they had their spatial rings, would it not be easy for them to steal the saint stones? Although they could be asked to remove their ownerships of the spatial ring to check if they had stolen saint stones, it was not a practical move. Taking away their spatial rings and substituting them with a wicker basket was the best solution. Whoosh! As Duan Lingtian and Guo Shang continued to move forward, a figure flew close to them. It was a middle-aged man who was wearing the exclusive uniform of a fire worship sect's bronze flame elder. Based on the pattern on his long robe, one could see that he was a Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by this. On their way here, Guo Shang had also mentioned the constitution of each mine in the four symbols sanctums. Apart from the golden flame elders and silver flame elders from the Saint Land, the bronze flame elders were from the four symbols sanctums. Elder Guo Shang. This bronze flame elder just so happened to be in charge of patrolling the southern zone of the first mine's punishment zone. As a Black Turtle Sanctum's elder, it was only natural he knew Guo Shang. This Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder was very respectful to Guo Shang. He had to be respectful to all silver flame elders in the Black Turtle Sanctum, let alone the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder. I remember you. Your name's Peng Hua, right? Guo Shang asked with uncertainty as he nodded at the Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder. Yes, I'm Peng Hua. I can't believe you remember me, Elder Guo Shang. Upon hearing Guo Shang's words, Peng Hua was slightly overwhelmed by the honor. As the enforcement elder, Guo Shang could enter the numerous mines in the four symbols sanctums. For this reason, when Peng Hua saw Guo Shang, he did not block Guo Shang and Duan Lingtian's way. That young man, could he be that rebel, Duan Lingtian, who recently rose in our Black Turtle Sanctum? Peng Hua's eyes widened in shock as he stared at the two disappearing figures. It was only natural that he was shocked. Although he was usually stationed in the punishment zone of the four symbols sanctums, first mine, he was very informed about what was going on outside due to disciples being frequently sent here. Naturally, he had heard about Duan Lingtian as well. 3 months ago, Duan Lingtian's deeds had spread to every nook and cranny in the four symbols sanctums. He was a new Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was bold enough to oppose the Black Turtle Sanctum's first silver flame elder Li, and after all. For this reason, it was impossible for people from the four symbols sanctums to not pay attention to him. The incident that cemented his fame was the incident that happened 3 months ago whereby Duan Lingtian had killed 2 Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples. However, he was not sentenced to death but was sentenced to serve in the four symbols sanctum's first mine for 10 years instead. This incident had taken the entire four symbols sanctums by storm. Based on the date, today is indeed the day for Duan Lingtian to start his sentence in the first mine. That young man next to Elder Guo Shang has to be Duan Lingtian. Peng Hua was certain of this. However, he's merely an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root. So why are Elder Guoshang and the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protecting him? Peng Hua was puzzled. The news of the Saint Land Bronze Flame Elder Wei He going to the Saint Land Enforcement Hall to file a complaint against the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement Elder Guoshang for malpractice had also spread to the first mine. Moreover, the first mine had also received news about the result of the Saint Land Enforcement Hall's investigation and that Wei He had been sentenced to death 3 days ago. For this reason, many people discovered it was not only Guoshang who was protecting Duan Lingtian, but even the Saint Land Enforcement Hall was protecting him as well. Very few people knew about the truth of the incident that had taken place at the Vermilion Bird Sanctum 3 months ago. All they knew was Duan Lingtian would have died if they followed proper procedure. However, Duan Lingtian did not die and was protected by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall instead. This caused many people to come up with their own speculations. However, not one of them thought he received protection because of his innate spiritual root. This was because news of him possessing a yellow innate spiritual root had long spread out. It was not difficult to figure out the reason he was being protected if they did not believe the news about his innate spiritual root and remove their bias. Meanwhile, Guoshang led Duan Lingtian to the place where newcomers had to register themselves in the first mine's punishment zone. After that, Guoshang bade farewell to Duan Lingtian before he left. He had accomplished his task of sending Duan Lingtian here. The person in charge of newcomers' registration was a Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder. When he learned this newcomer was Duan Lingtian, a hint of dread appeared in his eyes. When he spoke, he was particularly polite. It seemed like he did not hate Duan Lingtian for killing 2 disciples from the Vermilion Bird Sanctum 3 months ago. In his eyes, Duan Lingtian was very mysterious and seemed to have a strong background. Otherwise, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall would not have protected him because he possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian, in accordance to the rules of the punishment zone, you must hand over your spatial ring. However, there's no need for you to remove your ownership over the ring. When your sentence is over, we'll return you your spatial ring, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder said to Duan Lingtian in a friendly manner. At the same time, he took out a huge wicker basket and a few uniforms before he handed them to Duan Lingtian. This wicker basket is used to store the saint stones you mine. According to the rules in the punishment zone, all the saint stones you mine have to be placed in the wicker basket. Saint stones that are not placed in the basket won't be counted in the daily number of saint stones you have to mine, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder patiently explained this to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian nodded. He did not find this surprising since he had already heard about this from Guoshang. This wicker basket seems a lot bigger than everyone else's baskets. When I was making my way here, I don't think I saw any 4 symbol sanctums, disciples with such a large wicker basket. Duan Lingtian thought to himself when he saw the basket. Duan Lingtian was unaware that in the punishment zone, there were 2 kinds of wicker baskets. One was the ordinary wicker baskets that he saw most 4 symbol sanctums, disciples carried earlier. The other was an extra-large wicker basket like the one in his hands. There were not more than 100 people in the punishment zone that was given this big wicker basket. The size was almost 2 times bigger than the ordinary wicker basket. In other words, 4 symbol sanctums, disciples who were given such a large wicker basket could save half of their time when they handed the saint stones over. The number of saint stones one could carry in a round trip in the extra-large wicker basket was equivalent to 2 trips if one were to use the normal wicker basket. For this reason, the large wicker basket was very sought after in punishment zone of the 4 symbol sanctums, first mine. If one was not strong enough, one would not be able to hold on to the large wicker basket for long. This was also part of the training the fire worship sect's 4 symbol sanctums had created for the disciples in the punishment zone. Only those who were strong were qualified to own a large wicker basket. When an ordinary 4 symbol sanctums disciple came to register, it would depend on luck if they could obtain the extra-large wicker basket. There were only about 80 to 90 extra-large wicker baskets in the first mine of the 4 symbol sanctums. However, there were thousands of 4 symbol sanctums disciples in the punishment zone. Based on this, one could see how valuable the extra-large wicker baskets were. Chapter 1962. Naturally, it was not due to luck Duan Lingtian had obtained the extra-large wicker basket. It was due to the special treatment given by the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder. However, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder did not explain any of this to Duan Lingtian, so he was unaware of it as well. Moreover, He did not even know what the extra-large wicker basket represented in the first mine's punishment zone. These are uniforms exclusive to the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples serving their sentence in the punishment zone. Unlike the uniforms of ordinary Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, the uniforms here doesn't distinguish between which sanctum you are from, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder explained. For this reason, unless you mention that you're a disciple from the Black Turtle Sanctum, unless they know you, most disciples in the punishment zone won't know you're from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Duan Lingtian nodded. He had already noticed this when he was making his way here. Those Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples here wore a standardized uniform that did not distinguish between which sanctums they were from. The punishment zone has a rule that disciples who arrive before noon will have to go to the mining cave on the day itself to mine. There's still an hour before noon, so, the Bronze Flame Elder said hesitantly before he finally said, or maybe you can stay here for an hour before you leave. It just so happens that I've only written down your name, I've not written down the time you arrived. As long as I write down the time an hour later, you won't have to go to the mine today. You can just find a residence to rest in. It was very obvious the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was abusing his power for Duan Lingtian. It naturally made Duan Lingtian feel warm inside. He thought to himself, there are indeed a lot of kind-hearted people in this world. If Duan Lingtian's thought was heard by those other Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who came to register at the punishment zone 15 minutes before noon but still had to go mining, they would definitely throw up blood. After all, they did not receive such special treatment. Duan Lingtian was unaware that he was given special treatment because the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was cautious about his supposed strong background. After all, in the eyes of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder, Duan Lingtian was merely a commoner with a yellow innate spiritual root. The fact that he received protection from the Saint Land Enforcement Hall must have meant that he had an extraordinary background. It was due to this reason the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was so easygoing and polite. If some other person came to register and it was a second before noon, he would still make the other person go to the mine with a cold face. Thank you for your concern, Elder. However, since it's still early, I'd like to go to the mine to familiarize myself with the surroundings first. Duan Lingtian expressed his gratitude and gently rejected the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder's kind intention. Since Duan Lingtian had rejected his offer, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder no longer said anything. However, he added one last thing, you can ask the others exactly how many saint stones you need to mine since the number of saint stones you have to mine changes from day to day. Apart from that, you can also follow them to the place where you have to hand in the saint stones. Alright, Duan Lingtian nodded before bidding goodbye to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder and left. After he left the registration place, he changed into the uniform for the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples serving their sentence in the punishment zone and carried the extra-large wicker basket and joined the throng of people who were also carrying a wicker basket on their backs. Duan Lingtian appeared particularly eye-catching due to the extra-large wicker basket on his back. Soon after, Duan Lingtian noticed many people were looking at him. Is it very obvious that I'm new here? Duan Lingtian was confused. He was still unaware that it was because of the extra-large wicker basket on his back. I don't think I've seen this person who's carrying the extra-large wicker basket before. He might be new, that's possible, but I'm not 100% certain. However, if he's new, why would he possess the extra-large wicker basket? Judging by the time the last time an extra-large basket was issued, there are still another 3 months at least before an extra-large wicker basket will be issued. I'm not sure as well. Duan Lingtian was unaware that at this moment many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were staring at him were communicating with each other through voice transmission. The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were not certain that Duan Lingtian was new. This was because the timing for when an extra-large wicker basket would be issued was not right. Perhaps, this fellow who was carrying the extra-large wicker basket was an inconspicuous person who used to carry an ordinary wicker basket, and he finally showed his hand and snatched an extra-large wicker basket. After all, there were thousands of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples in the punishment zone. It was impossible for one to remember the appearance of everyone here. They could only roughly remember the faces of the people who owned extra-large wicker baskets that did not exceed more than 100. They were certain that among the 89 people carrying the extra-large wicker basket, there was no one so eye-catching. If that was the case, there were two possibilities. 1. The young man in front was new and was lucky enough to receive an extra-large wicker basket. 2. The young man used to carry an ordinary wicker basket and had recently snatched an extra-large wicker basket from another person. Between these two possibilities, the group of four symbols sanctums, disciples staring at Duan Lingtian were more inclined to the latter. This was because the appearance of an extra-large wicker basket was usually timed. They had even figured out the timing. Due to this reason, they were certain Duan Lingtian was not issued the extra-large wicker basket. However, it did not cross their minds that Duan Lingtian was indeed a newcomer who had just stepped foot on the punishment zone a while ago. As for the extra-large wicker basket, it was all due to the special treatment given to him by the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder at the registration area. I really hope he's just a newcomer and merely obtained the extra-large wicker through luck. Many of the four symbols sanctums, disciples stared at the extra-large wicker basket on Duan Lingtian's back with bright eyes. It seemed as though they were going to drool as well as they looked at the extra-large wicker basket. Once they obtained the extra-large wicker basket, it would reduce the time they had to travel to hand in the saint stones since it could hold 2 times more saint stones compared to the ordinary wicker basket. For the time being, none of the four symbols sanctums, disciples who coveted Duan Lingtian's extra-large wicker basket made a move because they were uncertain of his background. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian peacefully entered one of the mining caves in the punishment zone. A magnificent view entered Duan Lingtian's sight as soon as he went into the mining cave. The mining cave seemed to be the main cave in the punishment zone. The number of four symbols sanctums, disciples entering this mining cave was more than 3 times compared to other mining caves. Why are there so many people here? With so many people coming in from behind him, it was only natural for Duan Lingtian to notice this. When he turned around, he happened to see numerous burning eyes that were trained on the extra-large wicker basket on his back. He was instantly baffled. Why are these people staring at my wicker basket? Don't tell me they plan to snatch my wicker basket away. Subconsciously, Duan Lingtian felt that the wicker basket was not that great. No matter how big it was, these fire worship sect's disciples from the four symbols sanctums should not covet it. The truth was Duan Lingtian had forgotten something important. Perhaps, the wicker basket was nothing outside, but in the punishment zone of the first mine, the extra-large wicker basket would cut half of their traveling time. This meant they could finish their tasks earlier every day. For this reason, would there be anyone who did not want an extra-large wicker basket in the punishment zone? Duan Lingtian randomly looked at a few people and discovered they had the ordinary wicker basket. This extra-large wicker basket should not be enough for them to fight with me over it, right? It seems like I'm thinking too much. Duan Lingtian shook his head and no longer thought about it as he walked deeper into the cave by following the throng of people. The deeper part of the mining cave was situated underground. The place Duan Lingtian was currently at was a tunnel that had been dug to lead underground. The deeper he went, the wider the tunnel became. Apart from that, there were many bumps and holes. It seems like something had been dug out before this. Don't tell me there was a saint stone ore here last time. As he continued to walk forward, Duan Lingtian began to hear the noise resonating from the deeper part of the underground tunnel. Boom, 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 comma, clang, 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 comma, smash, 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 comma. There are all sorts of noises as though an orchestra piece was being played. As Duan Lingtian went in deeper, he finally arrived at the place where the noises originated. He discovered many of the four symbols sanctums, disciples had already begun to mine saint stones. Each of them used different divine abilities while they mined for saint stones. It was an eye-opener for Duan Lingtian. Some forcefully threw their punches. Some used swords or sabers. Some used their palms as though they were blades. Some used spears or rods. All sorts of inconceivable methods were being used here. There seems to be a lot of saint stones here. At the same time, Duan Lingtian saw all 4 sides of the tunnel were filled with saint stones. The aura released by the saint stones belonged to first-grade saint stones. Chapter 1963. Chapter 1964. Get out of my sight. During the journey here, I don't see any elders in the punishment zone monitoring us. However, there's no way they're not monitoring us. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he glanced right and left before he looked to the front. He thought to himself, they must be lurking in the dark, hiding where we can't see them. Despite only being a bronze flame elder, the punishment zone's elders were all at the saint celestial stage and above. It was easy for such a powerhouse to conceal their presence from the four symbols sanctums, disciples who were below the mastery quintessential saint stage. 4 symbols sanctums. Disciples who were at the mastery quintessential saint stage or above could pass the saint land assessment and enter the saint land to become a disciple there. For this reason, Duan Ling Tian was certain the strongest 4 symbols sanctums. Disciples serving in the punishment zone was only at the mastery quintessential saint stage. Nobody is there. Duan Ling Tian suddenly discovered a saint stone ore nearby without people around. His eyes brightened immediately as he made his way there. As soon as he arrived at the saint stone ore, he raised his hand and pointed his index and middle finger at it. Swoosh! At this moment, a sword ray that was formed from sun saint energy shot out from his fingers before it hit the saint stone ore. However, as he shot the energy out, he discovered the saint stone ore he was aiming at that was only very small crumbled completely the moment the energy hit it. There was no saint stone at all. What the? Duan Ling Tian was puzzled when he looked at the stone that crumbled to the ground. Initially, he thought he could get 8 to 10 first-grade saint stones from this saint stone ore. He did not expect that this saint stone ore looked promising on the outside but had nothing inside. Damn it! As Duan Ling Tian cursed, the eyes of many people following behind him brightened up immediately. It's so obvious there's nothing there, but he didn't realize it. As long as he extends his divine consciousness, he would sense that the small saint stone ore has nothing inside. He doesn't even know such an easy way to search for saint stones. Newcomer. He must be a newcomer. Looks like it's really due to luck he got his hands on the extra-large wicker basket. Although I have no idea why the basket isn't issued according to time, I'm certain he's a newcomer. Humph. A newcomer shouldn't have this extra-large wicker basket. At the same time, the group of 4 symbols sanctums, disciples following Duan Ling Tian all these while transmitted their voices among themselves. Based on their words, it was obvious they did not think Duan Ling Tian was qualified to have the extra-large wicker basket. A greedy light shone in their eyes immediately. Whoosh! Just as a few 4 symbols sanctums, disciples decided to make their moves, a gust of wind suddenly blew past them. Someone else had beaten them to it and made a move first. He arrived next to Duan Ling Tian in just a flash. Duan Ling Tian had already noticed this person when he was making way over. When he appeared near Duan Ling Tian took a few steps back in a neither hurried nor slow manner and calmly looked at the middle-aged man standing in front of him. He asked indifferently, "Is there anything I can help you with?" The middle-aged man standing in front of Duan Ling Tian had a huge build. He was stout and looked imposing like a tower. Despite being more than 1.8 meters tall, Duan Ling Tian still appeared weak and tiny in front of this man who was 2 meters tall. Naturally, he only looked weak on the surface. "You're new, right?" the middle-aged man asked. His voice was as loud as a church bell, causing the eardrums of many people whose cultivation base was lower to rattle. More and more people came to watch when the middle-aged man spoke. Even the 4 symbols sanctums, disciples who were originally mining the saint stone ores had also stopped working and came to join in the fun. All the disciples from the 4 sanctums who were sent to the first mine's punishment zone were obviously bored after being here for so long. For this reason, they were always excited whenever a fight was about to break out. It could be considered as a rare entertainment in the punishment zone. Moreover, it did not cost them anything to enjoy this show. What's going on? Isn't it Niu Kong? Did someone pick a fight with Niu Kong? This young man who dares to oppose Niu Kong has an extra-large wicker basket on his back. I don't remember seeing him before. Don't tell me he's new. Wait a minute, even if he's new, it's impossible for him to get an extra-large wicker basket, the timing isn't right. In that case, did he snatch the extra-large wicker basket from someone else? If he's strong enough to snatch an extra-large wicker basket from one of the 89 people, then Niu Kong can't compare to his strength. What's Niu Kong trying to do? Seeking trouble for himself? The group of uninformed people gathered and whispered among themselves. Soon after, they learned about what happened from some of the 4 symbols sanctums, disciples who were in the know. He doesn't even know how to use his divine consciousness to probe the saint stone ore. He actually picked a saint stone ore bed that was merely as thick as a nail to mine. This is a newcomer's mistake, right? He's a newcomer. If he's a newcomer, then the extra-large wicker basket is given to him in vain. However, the timing seems wrong. Leave the timing aside. Based on his actions, it's obvious he's a newcomer. No wonder Niu Kong dares to go forward. He already has his eyes on the newcomer's extra-large wicker basket. This newcomer is going to be doomed. It's said that Niu Kong's cultivation base has already entered the peak of the exemplary saint stage some time ago. The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. They thought Duan Lingtian was doomed and the extra-large wicker basket on his back would be taken away soon. The peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Lingtian burst out laughing as soon as he heard the discussion in his surroundings about the cultivation base of the middle-aged man with a huge build. A Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage actually wanted to snatch something that belonged to him. Did he look weak? However, Duan Lingtian was also slightly shocked. It really did not cross his mind that someone would covet the extra-large wicker basket on his back. Was it not just a lousy wicker basket? Until now, Duan Lingtian still did not know how rare and valuable the extra-large wicker basket on his back was in the punishment zone. He thought that everyone got to pick their own wicker basket. It did not occur to him that not everyone was lucky enough to be given an extra-large wicker basket. Naturally, Duan Lingtian did not remain ignorant for long. As the discussions in the surroundings turned even more heated, he learned that there were only 89 extra-large wicker baskets before he came to the punishment zone in the first mine. There was no exception, all 89 extra-large wicker baskets were in the possession of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were at the peak of the exemplary saint stage or the quintessential saint stage. Apart from that, although newcomers might be given an extra-large wicker basket, there was a timing to it. Based on the last time someone had been given an extra-large wicker basket, Duan Lingtian should not have been given an extra-large wicker basket. Did the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder give me special treatment when he gave me this extra-large wicker basket? Duan Lingtian smiled wryly when he realized what had happened. Did the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder look down on him? Did he not think Duan Lingtian would be able to snatch an extra-large wicker basket with his own strength? Although he complained a little in his heart, he knew he owed a favor to that Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder. If he was given a chance in the future, he would definitely return this favor. Are you deaf? I'm asking you if you're new. A thunderous voice sounded, causing Duan Lingtian to regain his senses. He saw Niu Kong looking at him with ill intent. Does it matter if I'm new or not? Duan Lingtian asked indifferently. Put aside that Niu Kong was merely at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, even if Niu Kong was at the peak of the quintessential saint stage, he was not enough to make Duan Lingtian fear him. Good, good, very good, lad, you're really brave. Originally, I thought I'll leave you unharmed if you obediently hand the extra-large wicker basket over. Niu Kong's gaze was extremely cold as he looked at Duan Lingtian. However, I've changed my mind. I will teach you a lesson even if you willingly hand the extra-large wicker basket over. You'll have to learn that newcomers have to be respectful toward their seniors in the punishment zone. Niu Kong said angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, a vast aura surged out of his body. He was mobilizing the saint energy in his body. Senior brother Niu Kong is really angry now. This newcomer is really courageous. To think he actually dares to anger senior brother Niu Kong. He's doomed. Niu Kong originally has a bad temper. Now that he has made him angry, I don't think things are going to end well for him. I just hope that senior brother Niu Kong will show some mercy. Otherwise, I'm afraid this newcomer will be bedridden for quite some time. The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples watching from the side discussed among themselves as they looked at Duan Lingtian sympathetically. You're Niu Kong, aren't you? Under the watchful eyes of the others, and faced with the furious Niu Kong, Duan Lingtian merely looked at him coldly. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight in the span of 3 breaths. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Although Duan Lingtian did not speak loudly, his words were still heard over everyone's discussion. The entire place fell silent immediately. Chapter 1964. You want me to get out of your sight in the span of 3 breaths. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's loud and confident threat, like the other Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, Niu Kong was momentarily stunned. When he regained his senses, he looked at Duan Lingtian as though he had just seen a ghost. For a moment, he even thought he had heard wrongly. That was why he had asked again to make sure he had heard correctly. At the same time, the other Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples had also regained their senses and burst into a commotion. Similar to Niu Kong, they looked at Duan Lingtian as though they had seen a ghost. I didn't hear wrongly, right? This new disciple is threatening senior brother Niu Kong. He actually wants Niu Kong to get out of his sight. Is he crazy? The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. All of them felt this newcomer was too arrogant. Those who were arrogant in the punishment zone usually did not live a good life unless they were strong. However, no matter how they looked at it, they did not think this newcomer was powerful. At the very least, they did not think he was stronger than Niu Kong. Upon hearing the discussions in the surroundings, Niu Kong knew he did not hear wrongly. The newcomer had really threatened him. "Lad, you're seeking death." Niu Kong was enraged. His eyes burned angrily as saint energy surged out from his body like an angry dragon. "I've given you a chance," Duan Ling Tian said indifferently again, "the span of 3 breaths is up." Whoosh, whoosh. The moment Duan Ling Tian finished speaking, his sun saint energy that had long been accumulated burst out of his back, transforming into a pair of wings that seemed to burn with a scorching flame. It was visually impactful. In the next second, he flapped his wings suddenly. Boom, 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 all of a sudden, the sound of air explosions rang in the air. It was caused by the golden crow's wings on Duan Ling Tian's back. Naturally, such a huge commotion shocked many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples. Swoosh! Almost at the same time, Duan Ling Tian, who had cast the high-grade movement divine ability, Duan Ling Tian seemed to have transformed into a cannonball as he charged toward Niu Kong at a ridiculously fast speed. **T. Niu Kong finally regained his senses the moment Duan Ling Tian cast his movement divine ability and charged at him. His heart jolted as horror dawned on him. At this moment, he finally realized the reason why the newcomer had dared to act so arrogantly. It was because he was strong. Since Niu Kong had accumulated his saint energy beforehand, he instantly mobilized his saint energy and cast a movement martial tactic in an attempt to avoid Duan Ling Tian, who was charging at him. Although Niu Kong's cultivation base had already broken through to the peak of the eminent saint stage, he had yet to master any movement divine abilities that was at the medium grade or above. It was only natural, since if he had mastered a medium grade or above movement divine ability, with his cultivation base at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, would it not be easy for him to snatch an extra large wicker basket in the punishment zone? Would he need to snatch it from a newcomer? "You're too slow." Duan Ling Tian's cold words sent a jolt straight to Niu Kong's heart. In the next instant, as Niu Kong was trying to avoid Duan Ling Tian, the golden crow's wings suddenly flapped again. His speed turned even faster. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Ling Tian had appeared next to Niu Kong. Boom! Duan Ling Tian casually pushed his hand that contained the vast sun saint energy out. A dazzling golden light appeared and shrouded Niu Kong. Although Niu Kong had cast a defensive martial tactic, it was full of weak spots since he was unprepared. It was easily crushed by the sun saint energy from Duan Ling Tian's palm. Bang! As a loud sound reverberated, Niu Kong's body shook and was sent flying backward immediately. He crashed onto the ground and continued to slide back violently. He was throwing up blood as well. The ground was covered in blood, presenting a ghastly sight. This scene scared the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples as well. All of them gasped in fright. Niu Kong, a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, could not even strike back in front of this newcomer and was severely injured with just a blow. "I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight in the span of 3 breaths. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences." Duan Ling Tian's threat suddenly appeared in their minds. Although the words were the same, the feeling was completely different. Before the fight, they felt this newcomer was arrogant and had overestimated his own strength. However, when they saw the newcomer had severely injured Niu Kong in just 1 blow, they realized how strong he was. He did not overestimate himself at all. Which sanctum is this newcomer from? Soon after, the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples shifted their eyes to Duan Ling Tian. Based on his strength, he was definitely at the quintessential saint stage. The quintessential saint stage disciples were all well known in the 4 sanctums. Although the people here were a mix of people from the 4 sanctums, none of them recognized this newcomer at all. Don't tell me he's a new disciple who has just entered the fire worship sect but has already committed a crime and is sent to the first mine. Many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples made their own assumptions. "You only have this bit of power, and yet you wanted to snatch my thing." Duan Ling Tian looked at Niu Kong coldly. Currently, Niu Kong looked wretched. Colors drained from his face when he saw Duan Ling Tian's cold gaze. He instantly apologized profusely. "I failed to recognize a great person, senior brother, please forgive me." He had apologized because he was afraid Duan Ling Tian would attack again. Although the fire worship sect forbade disciples from killing one another, it was okay to fight as long as they did not kill or maim. Duan Lingtian's anger dissipated a lot when he saw how cowardly Niu Kong was. He asked coldly, "Didn't you say you're going to teach me a lesson earlier?" "I don't dare, I don't dare." Niu Kong quickly lowered his head. He did not dare to look at Duan Lingtian in fear of making him angry. Humph. After Duan Lingtian snorted, he no longer bothered with Niu Kong. Instead, he followed the tunnel and walked deeper inside. Duan Lingtian felt it was not unreasonable for Niu Kong to try and snatch his extra-large wicker basket once he found out what a rare commodity it was in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. However, Niu Kong was just unlucky for picking on someone stronger than him. Otherwise, his extra-large wicker basket would belong to Niu Kong now. From the beginning until the end, Niu Kong merely intended to snatch his extra-large wicker basket and did not intend to kill him. Since snatching an extra-large wicker basket was common in the punishment zone, Duan Lingtian no longer bothered with him, never had the intention to kill him. When Duan Lingtian was around, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples did not even dare to breathe. Now that Duan Lingtian's figure is getting further and further away, they sighed in relief. At the same time, they begin to discuss among themselves. Who's he? With his strength, he has to be a quintessential saint stage powerhouse. I'm a White Tiger Sanctum's disciple, and I've seen such a powerful person in our White Tiger Sanctum before I was banished to the first mine. I'm from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, and I've also never seen such a strong person in our sanctum. I'm from the Vermilion Bird Sanctum, and I've also never seen someone like that in our sanctum. I'm from the Black Turtle Sanctum, and just like all of you, I don't know him at all. They were all puzzling over Duan Lingtian's identity. His Wings of Flames must be a very powerful movement divine ability. A Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple shifted the topic to the high-grade movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings, that Duan Lingtian had cast earlier. He sounded shocked. I've never seen such movement divine ability before. Heck, I haven't even heard about it before. However, I feel like it's not inferior to the treasured movement divine ability in our Vermilion Bird Sanctum. Not only that, but the visual impact is even more powerful than the treasured movement divine ability in our Vermilion Bird Sanctum. That's right, the movement divine ability he cast is just too powerful. The wings look as though it had grown from his body. It didn't look out of place at all. I agree, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples was in awe over Duan Lingtian's movement divine ability. I remember now. Suddenly, a sharp voice rang out and overpowered everybody's voice, effectively attracting everyone's attention. The person who had cried out loudly was skinny and small. He looked like a thief with his small, shifty eyes. With just a glance, one could tell he was not a good person. Have you guys forgotten? When this Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple saw everyone's attention was on him, he said excitedly, "There's one Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who has recently been sentenced to the first mine's punishment zone. Didn't we just speak about him before this? Not only that, but among the 3 high-grade divine abilities mastered by that Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, isn't one of them a high-grade movement divine ability that allows him to grow a pair of wings?" Upon hearing this Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple's words, everyone's eyes widened immediately. Gasp, 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 gasp. Their gasps echoed in the underground mining cave tunnel before everyone fell silent. Chapter 1965. After they stopped gasping, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, including Niu Kong, stood looking at each other at a loss. They saw the answer in each other's eyes. Duan Lingtian. Many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples exclaimed in a low voice at this moment. Various expressions could be seen on their faces. How could I have forgotten him? 3 months ago, he killed 2 Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples. Rumor has it that one of them was at the early quintessential saint stage. Even if he has not reached the intermediate quintessential saint stage yet, I'm sure it must be pretty close to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Rumor also has it that he possesses the yellow innate spiritual root. By right, an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root shouldn't be able to break through to the quintessential saint stage. However, he still managed to kill a Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple at the early quintessential saint stage. I heard that his cultivation base has not even reached the quintessential saint stage. The reason he's so strong is all thanks to the 3 high-grade divine abilities that he mastered. Put aside his innate spiritual root. Let's talk about his ability of mastering divine abilities. I'm afraid not many people can compare to him in the fire worship sect. After all, he has comprehended 3 high-grade divine abilities. In the fire worship sect, it's said that even Lord sect leader has only mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. What's most surprising is that even though he had killed the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples for no good reason, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall still protects him. Not only that, but when a Saint Land Bronze Flame Elder with blue innate spiritual roots made a commotion at the Saint Land Enforcement Hall regarding Duan Lingtian killing of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples, the elder was sentenced to death instead. Perhaps, Duan Lingtian's martial Dao innate talent is ordinary, but his innate talent in mastering divine abilities is definitely extraordinary. However, what's most amazing is his mysterious background. You have a point. If it's not for his extraordinary background, why would the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protect him in the first place? When the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples discovered the newcomer was Duan Lingtian, they began to discuss among themselves. They were no longer surprised by his strength. After all, they had all heard about him. So he's Duan Lingtian. A bitter smile appeared on Niu Kong's face. If he had known the other person was Duan Lingtian, he would not even dare to attempt to snatch the extra-large wicker basket even if he was 100 times more courageous. Many of the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples looked at Niu Kong sympathetically. Although Niu Kong was quite strong, he could hardly compare to Duan Lingtian. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian was unaware that the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples had guessed his identity correctly. He continued to walk further into the mining cave. He was mining as he walked. With his current strength, the entire process went smoothly. Soon after, the extra-large wicker basket on his back was already filled with high-grade saint stones. The saint stones ranged from big to small. They had not been polished, so they looked very coarse. To think that I haven't even found a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. Despite having mined a basket full of first-grade saint stones, Duan Lingtian still had not come across any quasi-celestial grade saint stone ore. He felt slightly disappointed. Now that my wicker basket is full, it's time for me to hand the saint stones over. I wonder how many baskets of first-grade saint stones I'll have to hand in to complete today's task, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. In truth, Duan Lingtian could be faster when it came to filling his wicker basket full of saint stones. He was a little slow because he had secretly sent many first-grade saint stones into the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. If it was not for the fact that he would be found out if he took too many saint stones for himself, he would have continued on. I'll continue again when I mine next time. It's time for me to stop. The moment he thought of this, he carried the extra-large wicker basket that was filled first-grade saint stones and walked out. As soon as he appeared, everyone's attention shifted to him again. It's Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian heard the low exclamations of some of the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples, he realized his identity had been exposed. I can't believe they identified me so quickly, Duan Lingtian shook his head. When he walked out, he realized the people that had originally been tailing him had disappeared as well. He did not think it was strange since he finally understood why so many people were following him earlier when he entered the cave. As it turned out, all of them coveted his extra-large wicker basket. However, after he had shown his strength and his identity was exposed, those people no longer dared to covet the extra-large wicker basket on his back. What a joke! In the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, first mine, there was currently a total of 90 extra-large wicker basket, including the one Duan Lingtian possessed. However, there were only about 50 to 60 people who were at the quintessential saint stage or above in the punishment zone. In other words, there were many elite powerhouses at the peak of the exemplary saint stage with extra-large wicker baskets as well. Apart from those who are insane, the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples in the punishment zone would definitely rather snatch an extra-large wicker basket from those at the peak of the exemplary saint stage rather than snatching them from Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was strong enough to kill an early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. His strength was almost on par with an intermediate quintessential saint stage cultivator. As Duan Lingtian was about to leave the mining cave, there were also many 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples who were leaving. He stopped a middle-aged man who was about to leave and asked politely, "Senior brother, do you know how many saint stones we have to mine today to complete our tasks?" "Senior brother Duan Lingtian, you can just address me as junior brother. I don't dare to have you address me as senior brother." The middle-aged became a little anxious when he saw Duan Lingtian appearing before him. He was terrified, just like a mouse that had seen a cat, when he heard Duan Lingtian calling him senior brother. Earlier, he was present when Duan Lingtian had injured Niu Kong with just a blow. For this reason, he knew the person standing before him was Duan Lingtian, a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, who had been sentenced to serve in the first mine's punishment zone. He was only an intermediate exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. It was natural for him to panic when faced with Duan Lingtian. With your extra-large wicker basket, you'll only need to fill it 6 times to complete today's task, Senior Brother Duan Lingtian. Despite feeling terrified, the middle-aged man did not dare to act carelessly in front of Duan Lingtian. Thank you. Duan Lingtian merely shook his head and did not speak unnecessarily when he saw how afraid the middle-aged man was. Swoosh. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian made a move and increased his speed. Soon after, he left the mining cave. 6 wicker baskets of saint stones. With my previous mining speed, it'll take me 15 minutes at most to fill the basket up with first-grade saint stones. However, I still need to spend another 15 minutes to send some first-grade saint stones into the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. All in all, it'll take me about 30 minutes. It'll take me 3 hours to fill up 6 wicker baskets. Adding on the traveling time to hand the saint stones over, it'll take me about 4 hours at most to complete the task. Duan Lingtian calculated the time inwardly. Meanwhile, he followed the throng of people to the allocated place to hand over the saint stones. Naturally, Duan Lingtian became the center of attention since he was carrying the extra-large wicker basket. Many people were staring at him in jealousy, envy, and greed. Some of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples suspected Duan Lingtian was a newcomer when they saw his face. They instantly began to have covetous thoughts toward his extra-large wicker basket. However, when they found out he was Duan Lingtian, horror dawned on them immediately. They had no choice but to dismiss the idea of snatching the wicker basket and suppress the greed in their hearts. What a joke! This person was Duan Lingtian, someone who killed an early quintessential saint stage Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple. They would just be seeking death if they tried to snatch his extra-large wicker basket. When Duan Lingtian arrived at the place to hand over the saint stones, he attracted the attention of a White Tiger Sanctum's bronze flame elder who was in charge of collecting the saint stones as well. An extra-large wicker basket? This person seems unfamiliar though. Duan Lingtian. When he was registering Duan Lingtian, he finally found out who Duan Lingtian was. He finally understood what had happened. If he was Duan Lingtian, it was not a surprise for him to possess an extra-large wicker basket since his strength was obvious. Compared to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's bronze flame elder, this White Tiger Sanctum's bronze flame elder was also very polite to Duan Lingtian after learning about his identity. Duan Lingtian, you just have to send this 1 basket of saint stones today. You've just arrived at the first mine, it's better for you to rest for now. Based on his words, it was obvious he was also giving Duan Lingtian special treatment. There's no need for that. Duan Lingtian instantly rejected his suggestion. He was anxious when he heard the elder's words. What a joke! He wanted to stay in the mining cave longer. The longer he stayed in there, the more first-grade saint stones he could send into the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Although the first-grade saint stones were not useful to him in the fire worship sect, it would be extremely useful for his family and friends. To the Azure Cloud Mansion that was located far away in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, a huge number of saint stones would raise their wealth. Moreover, it might even raise the strength of the Azure Cloud Mansion. Although the White Tiger Sanctum's bronze flame elder had no idea why Duan Lingtian would reject his good intention, he no longer said anything since Duan Lingtian insisted on staying. It took another 3 hours before Duan Lingtian finally completed his task for the day. It's time for me to find a place to stay. It's said that in the 4 Symbols Sanctums, residence in the punishment zone, there's a hovering mansion with a cultivation environment that's on par with a Primus house. I, Duan Lingtian, am going to take that mansion as my own. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone as he made up his mind. Chapter 1966. The 4 Symbols Sanctums, residence in the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums. First mine had numerous cultivating residences. Just like each sanctum of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, they were divided into Primus houses, Secundus houses, Tertius houses, and Quartus houses that were placed in a pyramid formation. Due to the reason there were not many 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples in the punishment zone, there were not many residences as well. For example, there were 10 Primus houses in each sanctum, but there was only 1 Primus house here. In the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, first mine, there were only 10 Secundus houses and 100 Tertius houses. They had slightly more Quartus houses here. There were 2,000 courteous houses. When Duan Lingtian came to the Four Symbols Sanctums, residence in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, his eyes were trained on the mansion on the highest suspended island. The highest suspended island was like a moon surrounded by stars or a stork standing among a flock of fowls. It appeared particularly eye-catching. Is there no one in there? Duan Lingtian hovered near the Primus house as he extended his divine consciousness and discovered the house was vacant. Looks like the person residing in this Primus house is not back from work yet, Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he waited for the owner of Primus house to come back. The fact that he's staying in this Primus house means he must be the strongest among all the disciples in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Although Duan Lingtian knew the other party was strong, he was not afraid at all. Currently, his cultivation base had entered the peak of the Divine Saint stage. Just with his Sun Saint energy alone, it was already at the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage. For this reason, with the help of his divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings, he could severely injure Niu Kong, who had just broken through to the Exemplary Saint stage with just a blow. In terms of Saint energy, he was superior to Niu Kong. Naturally, it was easy for him to defeat him. However, Duan Lingtian felt no sense of accomplishment in defeating Niu Kong. In fact, even if he defeated the current owner of this Primus house, he would not feel a sense of accomplishment as well. When Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was at the intermediate Divine Saint stage, with the various divine abilities that he mastered, he could already kill an ordinary early quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator. His strength was comparable to an intermediate quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator. He had made 2 consecutive breakthroughs and entered the peak of the Divine Saint stage currently. In other words, his strength is far superior to most of the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage martial cultivators and was almost on par martial cultivators at the peak of the Quintessential Saint stage. In fact, he could even defeat Mastery Quintessential Saint stage martial cultivators if they did not master any powerful divine abilities, particularly high-grade divine abilities. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would not dare to say he would be able to defeat them since there were too many unknown variables. Isn't that Duan Lingtian? Why is he standing outside the Primus house? Soon after, 2 Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples who had completed their tasks returned and saw Duan Lingtian carrying the extra-large wicker basket on his back as he stood outside the Primus house. They were shocked. One of them quickly figured out what was going on, and his eyes widened in disbelief as he said, Don't tell me that he's going to challenge senior brother Sunda from the Primus house." "It's possible," the other person nodded. "Crazy. He's really crazy. Does he think senior brother could be compared to the early quintessential Saint stage Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple whom he killed? In fact, senior brother Sunda already has 1 foot in the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. He could break through to the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage at any time now." "That's right. Once senior brother Sunda breaks through to the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage, he'll have a chance of becoming a Saint Land disciple. Once he becomes a Saint Land disciple, he'll be able to leave the first mine since he no longer has to serve his sentence." As the 2 Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were speaking, they praised the owner of the Primus house. The owner was a Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple named Sunda. Based on their words, it was clear they did not think Duan Lingtian was a match for Sunda. When they saw Duan Lingtian hovering outside the Primus house with his eyes closed to attain mental composure as he waited for Sunda's return, they were in no rush to return to their houses. Instead, they waited along with Duan Lingtian for Sunda's return. As time continued to pass, more and more Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples returned as well. When they found out Duan Lingtian intended to claim ownership of the Primus house, they did not return to their own houses. All of them waited for Sunda to return as well. Tisk tisk. Duan Lingtian wants to challenge senior brother Sunda. Senior brother Sunda is the strongest powerhouse among all the Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. He already has 1 foot in the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. Not only that, but senior brother Sunda even mastered 2 medium-grade divine abilities. It's said that he has already more or less mastered the treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Before he was banished to the first mine, he was widely acknowledged as one of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who's most likely to successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Senior brother Sunda is from the Black Turtle Sanctum and so is Duan Lingtian. This show is going to be interesting. More and more Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples gathered together. Duan Lingtian could hear their words clearly. He already has 1 foot in the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. And he's one of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who has the highest chance to successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier from the Black Turtle Sanctum. The first part of their discussion did not faze Duan Lingtian, but the latter part gave his heart a jolt. If Sunda has successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, it'll benefit me. Duan Lingtian had been eager to watch another person cast the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier of the Black Turtle Sanctum. He discovered that by watching other people cast a divine ability would help his heart that had been tempered by the Sovereign Heart Sword to comprehend a divine ability quickly. Senior brother Sunda is back. Duan Lingtian finally opened his eyes when he heard a cry. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw a Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple, Sunda, walking on air toward him. Sunda was a middle-aged man who appeared inconspicuous. No matter how big the commotion was, there were no changes in his expression at all. From the beginning until the end, he had a glum expression on his face as though someone owed him something big. Soon after, Sunda arrived before Duan Lingtian and stood opposite him. He asked calmly, "You want to challenge me? Please give me some pointers, senior brother Sunda." Duan Lingtian nodded his head. "Make your move then." Sunda was very straightforward. The instant his words left his mouth, a vast aura surged out of his body. It was the aura of his saint energy. When the saint energy finally appeared on the surface of his body, the air began to visibly tremble. This was the power of an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Elementary devouring tactic. With just a thought, the sun saint energy in Duan Lingtian's body surged out through the 99 saint veins inside his body as he cast his high-grade divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic. In just a blink of an eye, whirlpools appeared around his body. As the whirlpools churned, a powerful suction force appeared suddenly. After a while, the surrounding heaven and earth spirit energy was completely devoured. It's that high-grade assist-type divine ability that Duan Lingtian mastered. What a horrifying assist-type divine ability. In just a blink of an eye, he devoured the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings. I can hardly sense any heaven and earth spirit energy around us now. His saint energy is continuously being raised. As Duan Lingtian cast the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, attention was all on the whirlpools around his body. Although they had heard about how Duan Lingtian had mastered a very powerful high-grade assist-type divine ability, they were still shocked when they witnessed it with their own eyes. As soon as Duan Lingtian cast the high-grade assist-type divine ability, they could clearly sense that Duan Lingtian's saint energy was continuously rising. Originally, Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy was merely exuding the aura of a powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. However, as his saint energy continued rising, it began to surpass that of a cultivator at the early quintessential saint stage. In the end, it was raised to a stage where it was on par with the saint energy of a cultivator at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy had already been raised to a stage where it was comparable to Sunda's saint energy. Both of their saint energies were at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Naturally, unlike Sunda, Duan Lingtian's current saint energy that was raised by his assist-type divine ability would not last long. I was present when Duan Lingtian defeated Niu Kong earlier. However, I didn't pay attention, so I'm not sure if Duan Lingtian used his assist-type divine ability. However, based on what's happening now, I don't think he cast this divine ability when he fought Niu Kong. Duan Lingtian, who had cast his assist-type divine ability, has actually raised his own saint energy to a stage where it's equivalent to the saint energy at the intermediate quintessential saint stage saint. When he raised his own saint energy to where it was equivalent to the saint energy at the peak of the exemplary saint stage previously, he managed to kill the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple who was at the early quintessential saint stage. I'm afraid it won't be difficult for him to defeat senior brother Sunda. My goodness. Duan Lingtian has gotten so much stronger in just these 3 months. Is he really just a commoner who has a yellow innate spiritual root? After the group of Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples witnessed the sun saint energy that Duan Lingtian raised through the elementary devouring tactic, they widened their eyes in disbelief and shock. Chapter 1967. Although most of the Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples present on the scene knew Duan Lingtian had defeated Niu Kong, they thought Duan Lingtian was able to defeat him in just a blow because he had cast the high-grade assist-type divine ability. However, at this moment, they finally realized that was not the case at all. Before he casts his divine ability, his saint energy is already at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. In other words, his cultivation base is most likely at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. How's that possible? 3 months ago, his cultivation base was only at the intermediate exemplary saint stage. He actually made a breakthrough to the peak of the exemplary saint stage from the intermediate exemplary saint stage in just 3 short months. I'm afraid only those monstrous geniuses with indigo innate spiritual roots would be able to have such progress. Duan Lingtian only has a yellow innate spiritual root. How did he progress this quickly? Something must be wrong. Could the Black Turtle Sanctum make a mistake when they tested his innate spiritual root? When he killed fellow disciples in the sect, even the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protected him. Could it be that he has shown them his innate spiritual root? That might be possible. If that's the case, then everything makes sense. The 4 symbols sanctums, disciples whispered among themselves. They began to suspect that Duan Lingtian had a high-grade innate spiritual root. Otherwise, how could he possibly break through to the peak of the exemplary saint stage from the intermediate exemplary saint stage in just 3 short months? At this moment, a 4 symbols sanctums disciple suddenly chimed in loudly, I don't think that's the case. After successfully attracting everyone's attention, he said, from what I know, when Duan Lingtian arrived at the fire worship sect, he concealed his cultivation base using some special technique. I'm thinking that, perhaps, he also concealed his cultivation base at the intermediate exemplary saint stage. The statement from this 4 symbols sanctums disciple prompted many 4 symbols sanctums disciples to recall all sorts of rumors regarding Duan Lingtian previously. It does seem so, that's possible as well. Well, that makes sense. However, I can't believe Duan Lingtian actually hid his strength so well. His cultivation base is at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Perhaps, this is the cultivation limit of a person with a yellow innate spiritual root. With the 3 high-grade divine abilities that Duan Lingtian mastered, coupled with all the techniques he cast, even if his cultivation base is only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, his strength is still equivalent to a martial cultivator at the mastery quintessential saint stage. Currently, the truth had been muddled. Duan Lingtian's innate talent and cultivation became even more mysterious and confusing. However, there was one thing the 4 symbols sanctums disciples present on the scene were certain of. That was Duan Lingtian's current strength that had been raised by his assist-type divine ability was much stronger than Sunda. Meanwhile, Sunda's expression turned solemn. It was apparent he had felt the pressure as well. Whoosh! After witnessing Duan Lingtian's strength, Sunda did not dare to act recklessly. With a raise of his hand, a 7-foot-long spear appeared in his hand as saint energy rushed into it, causing a spear ray to skyrocket into the sky. Senior brother Sunda instantly took out his 100 inscriptions saint weapon. It seems like Duan Lingtian's current strength has pressured him as well. Of course. However, even if senior brother Sunda took out his 100 inscriptions saint weapon, there's not much suspense left in the battle. Unless he makes a sudden breakthrough to the mastery quintessential saint stage or he has mastered the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier from the Black Turtle Sanctum, he might be able to fight Duan Lingtian. That's right. Although Duan Lingtian probably can't maintain his current strength for too long, with his current strength and the 3 high-grade divine abilities he mastered, it won't be difficult for him to quickly defeat senior brother Sunda. In the beginning, the 4 symbols sanctums disciples present on the scene had a high opinion of Sunda, but after seeing Duan Lingtian's strength, they now regarded Duan Lingtian highly. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the others, Sunda chose to strike first to gain the advantage. He charged toward Duan Lingtian like a ghost. Boom! Rumble! At the same time, Sunda spun the 100 inscriptions saint spear and a vast saint energy swept out, causing turbulence in the air and a thunderous explosion. Golden Crow's wings. Faced with Sunda who was charging at him with his spear, Duan Lingtian cast his movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings, in a neither hurried nor slow pace. In just a blink of an eye, a pair of wings made of flames appeared behind Duan Lingtian. Without warning, the Golden Crow's wings flapped forcefully. Boom, 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 boom. Thunderous explosions reverberated in the air as though it could make heaven shake. Duan Lingtian moved at lightning speed and easily dodged Sunda who charged at him. Sunda's speed was nothing in front of the divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings. You know it's impossible to chase after me, so you're giving up. After dodging, Duan Lingtian realized Sunda had come to a halt. He did not make a move for a long time that Duan Lingtian thought Sunda had given up. However, before Duan Lingtian realized it, Sunda had made a move again. Sunda raised the 100 inscriptions saint spear in his hand with the tip of the spear pointed up in the air. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness could clearly sense a wave of mysterious energy surging out of Sunda's 100 inscriptions saint spear toward the sky at a fast speed. One could not see the energy at all. If it was not for Duan Lingtian constantly extending his divine consciousness, he would not have noticed it. He did not make a move for the time being since the energy was not aimed at him. He looked up into the sky instinctively. What's he doing? Duan Lingtian was baffled. However, in the next instant, his eyes widened. When Duan Lingtian looked up, the mysterious energy that shot up into the sky from the 100 inscriptions saint spear in Sunda's hand hit the sky and caused a violent turbulence in the air. Boom, 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 boom. In the next moment, claps of thunder began to sound in the air and bolts of purple lightning as thick as a baby's arms appeared out of thin air in the midst of the turbulent sky. There were about 100 bolts of purple lightning in the air, giving it a mysterious appearance. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Descend, Sunda shouted loudly at this moment. When Duan Lingtian looked at Sunda, he saw him spinning the 100 inscriptions saint spear in his hand and pointing the tip to the front before shifting it down. Boom, 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 comma. As Sunda made his move, a thunderous noise sounded above Duan Lingtian. 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms accompanied it. Dao Cultivator. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as his expression turned grave when he saw that Sunda was not a martial cultivator but a Dao cultivator instead. Duan Lingtian did not encounter many Dao cultivators ever since he came to the Dao martial saint land. All these while, he was slightly curious as well. The Dao and martial in the Dao martial saint land referred to Dao cultivators and martial cultivators. However, he did not encounter many Dao cultivators even though he had been in the Dao martial saint land for quite some time. It was the same even when he came to the upper province. Duan Lingtian thought it was just a coincidence he did not encounter many Dao cultivators. Now, he finally encountered a Dao cultivator and a powerful one at that. The moment he made his move, he immediately used the force from the world, transforming them into 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm that was aimed at him. Each of bolts of lightning was fast and was in no way inferior to the attack speed of an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. There seems to be more than just the Dao method in these bolts of lightning. There's some trace of divine ability as well. Duan Lingtian's extended divine consciousness could clearly sense something when it touched the lightning. The Dao method, the 100 planetary lightning, that senior brother Sunda is casting now seems different from the 100 planetary lightning that he used to cast. Didn't he already reach the highest stage of this Dao method long ago? As the 100 bolts of lightning struck at Duan Lingtian, the four symbols sanctums, disciples also noticed something strange. Isn't this the aura of the medium-grade offensive divine ability, the cataclysmal thunderbolt? At the same time, someone else also noticed that apart from the Dao method, the 100 planetary lightning, Sunda's strike also contained the medium-grade offensive divine ability, the cataclysmal thunderbolt. 100 planetary lightning, cataclysmal thunderbolt. Duan Lingtian raised his brow. Faced with the 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms, he did not dodge as the people expected. Instead, he stood motionlessly. 10,000 swords territory. At this instant, the area in within 100-meter radius of Duan Lingtian became a golden ocean formed by 10,000 golden sword rays. It blocked everyone's vision, including Sunda. Clear. With just a thought, an opening appeared above the 10,000 swords territory, allowing the 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms to enter it. Duan Lingtian was instantly exposed and vulnerable to the bolts of lightning. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's body underwent an earth-shattering transformation as he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Chapter 1968. Duan Lingtian, who had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, was completely exposed to the 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms. Even then, Duan Lingtian stood unmoving just like a mountain. As lightning flashed across the sky, a purple light appeared, causing the dragon scales on Duan Lingtian to reflect the light, making it dazzling and blinding for all. Boom, 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 comma. Finally, the 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms descended and struck Duan Lingtian. Each of the 100 bolts of lightning contained combat force that was in no way inferior to the attack of an early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. When they were close to Duan Lingtian, they seemed to have merged together and completely shrouded Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian only felt a vast and terrifying energy sweeping over him, causing his body to tremble. Soon after, he realized that with the help of brute strength of a 9-clawed dragon warrior that had been infused with the Sun Saint energy, he was not injured at all, even though the force of the bolts of lightning made his body shake until it felt like his internal organs were also rattling. Despite the powerful force of the lightning, it was unable to break the defense on his body. The brute body of a 9-clawed dragon warrior, coupled with the Sun Saint energy that was on par with the Saint energy at the intermediate quintessential Saint stage Saint energy, easily blocked Sunda's attack that contained a Dao method and divine ability. As expected from the defense of the body of a 9-clawed dragon warrior. It's comparable to an 8-clawed divine dragon. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief. Based on Sunda's cultivation base, this attack is probably his most powerful attack. Duan Lingtian, who forcefully withstood the 100 bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arms, was unharmed. At the same time, all his dragon's characteristics disappeared as he returned to looking like a human again. He had hidden his identity as a 9-clawed dragon warrior well. It's my turn to attack now. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone as he withdrew his 10,000 swords territory that had blocked everyone's sight. In the next instant, a completely unharmed Duan Lingtian appeared before everyone's watchful eyes. Sunda, who was standing nearby, had a horrified expression on his face when he saw this. He had thought his attack that he unleashed unreservedly would at least injure Duan Lingtian. If Duan Lingtian was injured, he would have created an opportunity for himself. Perhaps, he could stall for time until the effect of Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability was gone. Once Duan Lingtian lost the effect of his assist-type divine ability, he would return to normal, or he might even be weakened. Duan Lingtian, whose cultivation base was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, without the help of his assist-type divine ability would not be a match for him. However, imagination was always beautiful, but the reality was mostly cruel. Although he had unleashed his strongest attack, he had failed to injure Duan Lingtian at all. He did not know what kind of method Duan Lingtian had used when he consolidated his territory, but the fact remained that Duan Lingtian was uninjured. It was due to this reason that the upper hand he thought he would gain was lost and had now fallen into a disadvantageous position. He's unharmed. At the same time, when the 4 symbols sanctums disciples saw Duan Lingtian was unharmed, they were greatly shocked. Although they knew Duan Lingtian was stronger than Sunda now, they did not expect he would escape unscathed. Unfortunately, the territory that senior brother Duan Lingtian consolidated blocked our sight. Otherwise, we would be able to see how he withstood senior brother Sunda's attack. Many 4 symbols sanctums disciples found this to be a pity. Naturally, it did not cross their minds that Duan Lingtian had intentionally consolidated his territory to block their vision. They merely thought that Duan Lingtian had to rely on his territory to withstand Sunda's full force attack. Senior brother Sunda is going to be defeated now. At the same time, the 4 symbols sanctums disciples present on the scene thought to themselves. They did not think there would be any more surprises left in this battle. At the same time, Duan Lingtian looked at Sunda and said, "Senior brother Sunda, I'm sorry." After giving him a warning, the wings made of flames appeared again. It was the divine ability, the golden crow's wings. In the next instant, the golden crow's wings flapped abruptly. Boom, 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 thunderous explosions sounded in the air. At the same time, Duan Lingtian charged toward Sunda at an extremely fast speed. Sunda's expression turned grave immediately as soon as he saw the golden crow's wings flapping. The saint energy emanating from the surface of his body increased rapidly. One could see he kept mobilizing his saint energy as though he was trying to do something. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who moved at lightning speed, appeared near Sunda. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy surged out of his body, golden sword rays appeared around him as well. Each of the sword rays contained a piercing aura that could tear through everything. There were hundreds of these sword rays. Go, Duan Lingtian thought. The hundreds of golden sword rays that were originally revolving around his body seemed to have understood his order as they charged toward Sunda. The hundreds of golden sword rays soared through the sky in a compelling manner. Although the attack was not as visually impactful as Sunda's attack, the force was in no way inferior to Sunda's attack at all. It pressured Sunda as well as it charged toward him. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Sunda's eyes were bloodshot as he cried out suddenly, "Black Turtle's barrier." His voice was extremely loud. His words shocked the four symbols sanctums, disciples so much that they widened their eyes in disbelief. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian was equally as shocked that he was momentarily stunned. Black Turtle's barrier. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian could clearly see that before the hundreds of golden sword rays that were infused with the profundity of the sovereign heart sword could get near Sunda, they had already been blocked by an invisible energy. It was as though they had crashed into an invisible wall. In the next instant, under the watchful eyes of the others, the silhouette of a gigantic black turtle mysteriously appeared around Sunda's body. The black turtle's silhouette was translucent, and if one did not pay close attention, one would not be able to see it clearly. The hundreds of golden sword rays controlled by Duan Lingtian were blocked by it. It seemed as though Sunda was protected by an iron wall. Naturally, although the black turtle's silhouette managed to block the attack, it was not easy either. The gigantic black turtle's silhouette was repeatedly attacked until rattled violently. Subsequently, a ripple appeared in the air and continued to spread out. It was visually impactful. This is the black turtle's barrier. Despite his failed attack, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to attack again. Although he knew he would be able to easily shatter the black turtle's silhouette using his divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, he was not in a hurry to do so. This was because he had something more important to do. Duan Lingtian was staring intently at the black turtle's silhouette before him as though he was studying it. He was completely immersed in it. As for the other four symbols sanctums, disciples, they finally regained their senses one by one. They all had an expression of disbelief on their faces. Senior brother Sunda has successfully cultivated the treasured divine ability, the black turtle's barrier from the black turtle sanctum. Not only is the black turtle's barrier the most treasured divine ability in the black turtle sanctum, but it's also the #1 defensive divine ability in our fire worship sect. I can't believe senior brother Sunda has successfully comprehended it. Comprehending the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier, also means that senior brother Sunda can now head to the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. When did senior brother Sunda successfully comprehend this black turtle's barrier? Since he has already successfully comprehended the black turtle's barrier, why didn't he leave? The four symbols sanctums, disciples whispered among themselves. Many of them found it weird that Sunda did not leave the first mine despite having successfully comprehended the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier. Don't tell me senior brother Sunda has only just comprehended the black turtle's barrier. A four symbols sanctums, disciple could not help but guess. His question created a commotion immediately. Everyone looked at Sunda, who was enveloped in the black turtle's silhouette, with a puzzled gaze. Did he really just comprehend the divine ability from the black turtle sanctum, the black turtle's barrier, now? Was this true? These were all the questions in their hearts. Soon after, Duan Lingtian regained his senses. His eyes were bright as he looked at Sunda, who was enveloped by the black turtle's silhouette, as he asked, "Senior brother Sunda, did you just successfully comprehended the black turtle's barrier now?" Duan Lingtian had noticed the pleasant surprise on Sunda's face. That was why he asked this question. Earlier, when he was studying the black turtle's silhouette, Duan Lingtian had also noticed numerous flaws. Due to this reason, he could tell that Sunda must have only successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability, the black turtle's barrier, from the black turtle sanctum not too long ago. However, when he saw the pleasant surprise on Sunda's face, he was even more certain Sunda had only successfully comprehended the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier, during the battle. That's right. When Sunda heard Duan Lingtian's words, Sunda suppressed the happiness in his heart and cupped his hand in front of his chest. "Junior brother Lingtian, it's all thanks to you that I successfully comprehended the black turtle's barrier today. Thank you very much." As soon as Sunda finished speaking, he bowed at Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, the four symbols sanctums, disciples were dumbfounded. What was happening? Sunda had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier, but why was he giving the credit to his opponent? The four symbols sanctums, disciples were baffled, and so was Duan Lingtian. "Senior brother Sunda, what do you mean? Earlier, due to the pressure from your attack, it seemed as though I was going through a life or death situation. At the brink of a situation like that, the numerous questions I encountered in the process of comprehending the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier, in the past have all been answered. It's all thanks to you I comprehended the divine ability, the black turtle's barrier." Sunda, who was extremely happy, patiently explained to Duan Lingtian. Chapter 1969. The black turtle's barrier was a high-grade defensive divine ability. Not only was it the most treasured divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, but it was also the #1 defensive divine ability in the Fire Worship Sect. As the #1 defensive divine ability in the Fire Worship Sect, the Black Turtle's Barrier was very famous even in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Naturally, it was extremely difficult to successfully comprehend this divine ability. Currently, there were not more than 10 people in the Fire Worship Sect who had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Due to this reason, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were greatly shocked when they saw Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Once news of this spread, it would definitely cause an uproar in the Four Symbols Sanctums. Senior brother Sunda has successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier just now. Upon hearing Sunda's reply to Duan Lingtian, many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were shocked. No wonder. If senior brother Sunda had already comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier earlier, he wouldn't have stayed here, let alone go to the mines today. As it turns out, he has only successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier now. Many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples finally understood what had happened. From what senior brother Sunda said, the reason he successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier is thanks to Duan Lingtian. Sometimes, pressure is also a kind of driving force. Under the pressure that Duan Lingtian gave him, senior brother Sunda finally found a suitable opportunity to comprehend the Black Turtle's Barrier successfully. Now that senior brother Sunda has successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier, it means there's no need for him to remain in the first mine any longer. How enviable! Not only does he not have to stay in the first mine, but since he successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier, he doesn't even have to go through the Saint Land's assessment. He'll instantly become a Saint Land disciple. The Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples discussed among themselves. They looked at Sunda with envious gazes. Becoming a Saint Land disciple was the dream of every Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples. To the Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples who were banished to the first mine, not only would they realize their dreams of many years, but they would also be exempted from their punishment as well if they were able to become a Saint Land disciple. There would no longer be any need for them to stay in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Due to this reason, they were very envious of Sunda. Congratulations, senior brother Sunda. Upon hearing Sunda's explanation, Duan Lingtian finally understood. He quickly congratulated Sunda. Junior brother Lingtian, since I've already mastered the divine ability of our Black Turtle Sanctum, this means I no longer have to serve my sentence in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. I can go to the Saint Land to become a Saint Land disciple. From today onward, the Primus house in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctums, first mine is yours. Sunda said to Duan Lingtian with a smile. However, when he reached the end of the sentence, a wry smile appeared on his face as he said, naturally, even if I can't leave, I still wouldn't be able to retain ownership of this Primus house. Junior brother Lingtian, I'm very clear that although I've successfully comprehended the divine ability Black, the Turtle's Barrier, and managed to block your attack, you still haven't used all your strength. If you had cast a high-grade offensive divine ability, it would have been impossible for me to block your attack even if I cast the Black Turtle's Barrier. Based on his words, Sunda was very aware of his strength. He bluntly said that he was not a match for Duan Lingtian even though he had already comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Upon hearing his words, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene agreed with him. Duan Lingtian shook his head before he said humbly and politely, Senior brother Sunda, you flatter me too much. You're very strong as well. If I didn't have my assist-type divine ability, I wouldn't be your match at all. The assist-type divine ability is also a part of your strength. Junior brother Lingtian, I can't wait to see you in the Saint Land. Sunda also shook his head. After he finished speaking, he bade farewell to Duan Lingtian and left immediately. Since Sunda had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, from the Black Turtle Sanctum, there was no need for him to continue staying in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. He could enter the Saint Land directly and become a Saint Land disciple. Sure, looking at Sunda's silhouette that was getting further and further away, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and muttered under his breath, it's an unexpected windfall for me to witness senior brother Sunda cast the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Duan Lingtian became excited the more he thought about it. Although Sunda only managed to comprehend the divine ability Black, the Black Turtle's Barrier, due to the pressure from him, he also managed to witness the Black Turtle Barrier being cast. Now that he had witnessed Sunda casting the Black Turtle's Barrier, he was inspired by it. I believe I'll be able to comprehend the number 1 defensive divine ability in the fire worship sect, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in 6 months at most. Duan Lingtian was very confident about this. Then, under everyone's watchful gaze, Duan Ling entered the Primus house that used to belong to Sunda. From now on, this would be his, Duan Lingtian, residence. Initially, I thought I'd have to stay in the 4 Symbols Sanctums, first mine for 6 months before I can head to the Saint Land for the assessment. However, now that I've personally witnessed Senior Brother Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, there's no need for me to wait 6 months. As long as I manage to successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, like Senior Brother Sunda, I'll be able to head to the Saint Land directly and become a Saint Land disciple. Duan Lingtian thought to himself after he entered the Primus house. When he thought about this, a determined expression appeared on his face. I'll enter the Fire Worship Sect's Saint Land very soon. I know that you're in the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. Wait for me, you and I will meet again soon. And our daughter, this incompetent father will be able to meet her soon as well, Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as his gaze turned gentle. There was a hint of anticipation in his eyes as well. From now on, I'll dedicate my heart and soul into comprehending the Black Turtle's Barrier, the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability that's also the number 1 defensive divine ability in the Fire Worship sect. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda and immersed himself in comprehending the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Since he had witnessed Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, his progress while comprehending this divine ability was pretty smooth. Many of the questions he encountered previously were also solved. One could say that this time, apart from accidentally helping Sunda comprehending the Black Turtle's Barrier, he had also helped himself as well. Otherwise, he really had no idea who he should ask to cast the Black Turtle's Barrier so that he could watch. Witnessing Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, was like God's gift to him. With the help of his heart that was tempered by the Sovereign Heart Sword, he had faith he could comprehend the Black Turtle's Barrier successfully in a short period of time. As Duan Lingtian cultivated in the Primus house, he had no idea that the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples outside still had not returned to their homes. These 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples were still talking about Duan Lingtian. I can't believe Duan Lingtian is so strong. Indeed, to think that even Senior Brother Sunda, who has mastered the number 1 defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in our Fire Worship sect is no match for him. Senior Brother Sunda is an intermediate quintessential Saint stage powerhouse. What's more, he's going to the Saint Land soon and become a Saint Land disciple as well. He only has a yellow innate spiritual root. His cultivation base at the peak of the exemplary Saint stage is already at the limit. He can only stay there forever. High-grade divine abilities are really terrifying. Just a mere martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary Saint stage with the help of 3 high-grade divine abilities became so powerful that he's not inferior to an ordinary mastery quintessential Saint stage powerhouse. How nice would it be if I can master a high-grade divine ability too? As the saying went, even the finest feast would come to an end. After the group of 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples discussed for a while, they all began to return to their homes. The second day, shocking news swept through the Fire Worship sect's 4 Symbols Sanctums. This shocking news was Sunda, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who had been banished to the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine for 20 years, had been exempted from his punishment because he had successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, from the Black Turtle Sanctum. He had gone directly to the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. Somebody has successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Similar discussions could be heard everywhere in the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. It pressured the disciples from the 3 other sanctums as well. In fact, the divine ability from the Black Turtle Sanctum was widely acknowledged as the hardest to comprehend divine ability among the 4 sanctums of the 4 Symbols Sanctums. The hardest divine ability had already been successfully comprehended by someone. If there was no one from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and Vermilion Bird Sanctum who had comprehended their respective sanctum's divine ability, would they not be looked down upon by others? Would other people not feel the other 3 sanctums were inferior to the Black Turtle Sanctum? At once, many people began going to the altars in the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and Vermilion Bird Sanctum. All of them were enthusiastically trying to comprehend the divine ability of their respective sanctum. Good one, senior brother Sunda, haha, there's another one who managed to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, in our Black Turtle Sanctum. Senior brother Sunda has really made our Black Turtle Sanctum proud. Unlike the other 3 sanctums, the Black Turtle Sanctum was in an uproar. Many people celebrated joyously that one more person had successfully comprehended the divine ability of their Black Turtle Sanctum. At the same time, another news that came from the 4 symbol sanctums, first mind spread to the 4 symbol sanctums like a nuclear bomb. Duan Lingtian had defeated Sunda, whose cultivation base had long entered the intermediate quintessential saint stage and had also mastered the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, the day he was banished to the 4 symbol sanctums first mine. Chapter 1970. People from the 4 symbol sanctums were not unfamiliar with the name Duan Lingtian. How could they not be familiar with that name? First, he offended the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian and publicly opposed him as soon as he arrived in the fire worship sect. After that, he even killed Lian's grand disciple, Yuan Hong, who was a Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple. Not only that, but apart from killing Yuan Hong, he even killed Yuan Kuang, Yuan Hong's younger brother as well. Everyone thought he would be sentenced to death for intentionally killing Yuan Kuang when the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang protected him. Not only that, but even the Saint Land Enforcement Hall had protected him as well. Just with these few incidents alone was enough for Duan Lingtian to become famous in the 4 symbols sanctums. Based on the news they received, it seemed like the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, Duan Lingtian, had caused another incident. Moreover, this incident was related to Sunda, who was currently the cause of a huge commotion. Duan Lingtian defeated Sunda on the day he arrived at the 4 symbols sanctums, first mine. This is a joke, right? Whether it was people from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, Vermilion Bird Sanctum or the Black Turtle Sanctum, when they heard this news, all of them found it hard to believe. However, the news was confirmed by some 4 symbols sanctums elders, so they had no choice but to believe it. Duan Lingtian's cultivation base is actually the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Then, does this mean he did not use all his strength when he fought with Yuan Hong back then? He's really good at concealing his strength, don't you think? Similar discussions could be heard in every corner of the 4 symbols sanctums. It was not an exaggeration to say that everyone from the 4 sanctums had learned of Duan Lingtian's cultivation base at the peak of the exemplary saint stage when he fought in the 4 symbols sanctums, first mine. At once, they decided that Duan Lingtian had concealed his cultivation base from the beginning until the end. Don't tell me he's still concealing his cultivation base, and it's not actually at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Many people had such a question. However, their question was soon refuted by other people. Impossible. Don't forget he only has a yellow innate spiritual root. It's the limit for a commoner with a yellow innate spiritual root to reach the peak of the exemplary saint stage. It's even more difficult than rising to heaven for them to break through to the quintessential saint stage. The fact that Duan Lingtian had a yellow innate spiritual root had long spread in the 4 symbols sanctums. For this reason, most people thought Duan Lingtian had reached his limit in regard to his cultivation base. It would be difficult for him to progress in the future. However, there were also people in the 4 symbols sanctums who knew that Duan Lingtian did not possess a yellow innate spiritual root but a blue one instead. Among them was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian. Lian had also heard about Sunda, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, successfully comprehending the treasured divine ability from the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Black Turtle's barrier. He was taken aback by the news and was filled with jealousy. Although Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, he was still unable to successfully comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier. An ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple had comprehended the most treasured divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Black Turtle's barrier. How could he not feel jealous? Duan Lingtian's cultivation base is at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. He defeated Sunda. This shocking news had also shocked Lian. His expression turned grave immediately when he heard it. That little brute's cultivation base is already at the peak of the exemplary saint stage since a long time ago, or did he just recently make a breakthrough? Duan Lingtian's cultivation base filled Lian's mind with all kinds of thoughts. No matter what it was, Duan Lingtian's existence definitely posed a threat to him. He knew that Duan Lingtian possessed a blue innate spiritual root. This meant that Duan Lingtian's accomplishment would not be inferior to his. Moreover, with Duan Ling Tian's ability to easily comprehend divine abilities, he would most likely become an outstanding person in the fire worship sect who was on par with a Golden Flame Elder in the future when he had grown stronger. A Golden Flame Elder was someone whose position was higher than him. If Duan Ling Tian managed to obtain that position, Lian would be doomed. No way, I can't let this go on. Duan Ling Tian must die. Lian muttered to himself. After he regained his senses, his breathing quickened. His eyes flashed coldly like a poisonous snake that was about to strike. Lian was not really bothered about Duan Ling Tian, who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root despite the fact that he had a heaven-defying ability in comprehending divine abilities. However, Duan Ling Tian currently possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Coupled with his talent in comprehending divine abilities, Lian could not help but feel afraid. He was almost certain someone like Duan Ling Tian was going to bring him trouble when he grew stronger. However, he's currently in the first mine, it won't be easy for me to kill him. Moreover, his current strength is almost on par with an ordinary mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. The moment Lian thought of this, horror dawned on him. Apart from the First Mine's elders, the Four Symbols Sanctum's First Mine only allowed enforcement elders and the criminals who were brought by enforcement elders to enter. It was impossible for Lian to enter the First Mine, let alone killing someone inside. Duan Ling Tian, did you really think that I can't get to you just because you're hiding in the First Mine? Lian left his residence with a cold smirk on his face. He traveled quickly to an unknown destination before he came to a halt. His destination was the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. To be more specific, he stopped right in front of a Primus house. Elder Lian, it's Elder Lian. Lian's appearance attracted the attention of many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Hong Shu. After Lian stopped in front of the Primus house, he extended his divine consciousness and transmitted his voice to a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Who are you? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was originally cultivating in the Primus house was abruptly awakened. It was only natural he had a grave expression on his face. His eyes were burning with rage, and he felt like slapping the person who woke him up from his cultivation. It's Lian. The voice transmission resonated again, causing the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple to change his expression instantly. His expression was no longer grave. Instead, a forced smile that was uglier than a crying face appeared on his face. The rage in his eyes had also vanished. Creak. Under Lian's gaze, the door to the Primus house opened and a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple walked out. He bowed respectfully at Lian. Good day, Elder Lian. This Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance with a medium build. He would be difficult to pick out in a crowd of people. It's Senior Brother Hong Shu. Why did Elder Lian come looking for Senior Brother Hong Shu? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had not returned to their residences also saw the middle-aged man whom Lian called out. Upon seeing this middle-aged man, respect could be seen in their eyes. Hong Shu was the great senior brother widely acknowledged by the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples in these recent years. The reason he was widely acknowledged as great senior brother was due to his strength. He had long broken through to the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. Currently, Hong Shu was also the only Mastery Quintessential Saint stage disciple in the Black Turtle Sanctum. However, when they found it strange that Lian was looking for Hong Shu. From what they know, both of them did not have any relationship at all. As the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were pondering over this, "Follow me," Lian said to Hong Shu indifferently before he turned and left the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. His silhouette gradually disappeared before the eyes of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. As Lian's silhouette disappeared, Hong Shu followed after him despite feeling skeptical. Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder after all. Before he participated in the Saint Land assessment that was just around the corner, he was still a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, so he did not dare to simply offend Lian. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally looked away after Lian and Hong Shu's figures disappeared. Although they were curious, none of them dared to follow them since they were afraid of Lian. Lian finally came to a halt outside of the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple where a secluded bamboo grove was located. Elder Lian, is there a reason you came looking for me? Lian asked with a puzzled expression. Hong Shu, I want you to head to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine and kill someone. Lian said without beating around the bush as his eyes flashed coldly. Swoosh. The moment Hong Shu heard his words, horror dawned on him. Elder Lian, you want me to head to the first mine to kill Duan Ling Tian? Although Hong Shu spent most of his time in closed-door cultivation, he would still come out once in a while. For this reason, he knew about Duan Ling Tian. Due to this reason, when Lian told him to kill someone in the first mine, Hong Shu instantly thought of Duan Ling Tian. That's right. Lian nodded in response to Hong Shu's question. Elder Lian, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Hong Shu took a deep breath before he directly rejected Lian's request. Put aside the fact that he was not confident he was able to kill Duan Ling Tian, so what if he could kill Duan Ling Tian? Would he not be sentenced to death for violating the fire worship sect's rules? Lian did not seem surprised by Hong Shu's rejection. He said nonchalantly, Hong Shu, I suggest you think about this. If I'm not mistaken, Hong Clan is in the western province, right? When he finished speaking, he looked at Hong Shu meaningfully. Horror dawned on Hong Shu immediately. Elder Lian, are you threatening me? You can regard it as a threat. Lian's tone was calm as though he was speaking about some insignificant matter. You better think about it carefully. Is your life more important? Or are the lives in Hong Clan more important? Chapter 1971. Horror dawned on Hong Shu again when he heard Lian's words. Although most people were selfish in this world where they revered the strong, to Hong Shu, his clan was more important than his own life. It was all thanks to the support from his clan that he was able to come so far. If his clan did not nurture him with everything they had, he would not be able to accomplish everything at his age with his light green innate spiritual root. One could say that his achievements today was 30% of his own hard work and 70% of his clan's nurturing. Elder Lian, Duan Ling Tian is very strong. He has even defeated Sun De, who has comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier. Although my cultivation base is at the mastery quintessential saint stage, I might not be a match for him at all. Hong Shu looked at Lian with bloodshot eyes and a grave expression. Even if I'm stronger than him, I can't be much stronger than him. Wanting to kill him in a short time without giving the elders in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mind to intervene is extremely difficult. It was obvious Hong Shu had caved under Lian's threats. He had no choice but to compromise. His clan was much more important than his own life. He suspected Lian knew this, that was why he had used his clan to threaten him. Faced with Lian's threats, he had thought of resisting. He thought about looking for an enforcement elder to seek justice. However, he also knew that even if he managed to obtain justice for himself, Lian would only be lightly punished. After all, Lian had only threatened him, but he did not touch him at all. As for his clan and the lives of his relatives in the clan, they were unworthy in the eyes of the fire worship sect's high-ranking officials. After all, he had not grown so strong that the fire worship sect would pay attention to him. Even if Lian went to annihilate his clan, the fire worship sect would not do anything at all. In the eyes of the fire worship sect's high-ranking officials, Lian's personal dispute had nothing to do with the sect. I've already thought about the things you mentioned. Don't worry, it'll take some time for the punishment zone's elders to reach you if you make your move in the residence of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mind's punishment zone. Everything will be fine as long as you kill him before the punishment zone's elders arrive. Lian said indifferently as he answered Hong Shu's questions. In the worst-case scenario, if you find that you're unable to kill him or you're no match for him, I've also made preparations for that. As soon as Lian finished speaking, he raised his right hand that was holding on to an exquisite pill bottle. With your strength, as long as you consume this pill, your strength will be raised almost to the Saint Celestial stage in a short period of time. Lian looked at the bottle in his hand as Hong Shu's eyes followed his gaze. His expression changed slightly, then, he shifted his gaze onto the pill bottle in his hand. After hearing Lian's words, Hong Shu knew the pill would be able to raise his strength even though it was only for a short period of time. The effect of such a pill was similar to the assist-type divine ability that could raise one's strength for a short time. However, the aftereffects were really bad compared to that of a divine ability. The aftereffects of the assist-type divine ability were mostly temporary and would disappear after a while. However, it was difficult for the aftereffects of the pill to go away. Even if it did, the conditions that needed to be met were very strict. Due to this reason, Hong Shu was horrified when he heard Lian's words and saw the pill bottle. After a long while, Hong Shu took a deep breath and moved his slightly stiff neck before raising his head to look at Lian with a fearful expression on his face. He asked, Elder Lian, what pill is this? The Kismet rejoining pill, Lian answered nonchalantly. Swoosh. As soon as Lian finished speaking, Hong Shu's eyes widened as he gasped. He had heard of these pills before. The Kismet rejoining pill, just like its name, was a pill that would join a person with his fate. It was also one of the few forbidden pills in the upper province of the Dalmartial Saint Land. People would be horrified when these pills were mentioned. Usually, only a quasi-celestial grade saint refinement master who specialized in medicine refinement Dao could refine it. Not only that, but the medicinal efficacy was very strong as well. Rumor had it that a high-grade Kismet rejoining pill could even help a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse to raise his strength for a short time. The amount of strength it granted its user was not little as well. However, there were downsides to it as well. The aftereffects were horrendous. Best case scenario, one would be severely injured and would be chronically ill for a lifetime. Worst case scenario, one would lose their lives. This was why Hongshu was so horrified when he heard Lian said the pill was a Kismet rejoining pill. The Kismet rejoining pill was not an ordinary forbidden pill. In the upper province of the Dalmartial Saint, the Kismet rejoining pill was a very famous forbidden pill. Naturally, the price for it was extremely high as well. It did not cross Hongshu's mind that Lian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, would use such an expensive forbidden pill like the Kismet rejoining pill just to kill Duan Ling Tian. He was very clear that even if Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, he might not have another Kismet rejoining pill. The Kismet rejoining pill was just too valuable. Naturally, Hongshu was unaware that Lian had already regarded Duan Ling Tian as a threat to his life. Once Duan Ling Tian had grown stronger, if Lian wanted to live, it would be impossible for him to stay in the fire worship sect. At that time, the fire worship sect that had Duan Ling Tian would not allow Lian to remain in the sect. Duan Ling Tian was not just some commoner with a yellow innate spiritual root. He was a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root and a heaven-defying ability to comprehend divine abilities. Once he had grown stronger, his position would definitely surpass Lian's position. For this reason, in order to get rid of this threat, Duan Ling Tian, Lian did not mind using the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, that he had treasured and kept for many years. Based on your expression, it seems like you've heard of the Kismet rejoining pills. In that case, there's no need for me to explain anything to you. Lian said coldly as he passed the pill bottle to Hongshu. Hongshu's hands froze when he saw Lian passing the pill bottle to him. A hint of terror appeared in his eyes when he looked at the pill bottle as though he was looking at some wild beast. Humph! Lian snorted, causing Hongshu's body to tremble. Hongshu reached out to take the pill bottle from Lian. Although the pill bottle was small, Hongshu felt as though he was carrying a heavy load. There's no need for me to teach you what to do next to be sent to the Four Symbols Sanctums, first mine, right? Lian looked at Hongshu coldly. Without waiting for Hongshu to reply, he had flown away, leaving Hongshu who had a sullen expression on his face behind. He put the pill bottle away. Both his hands were fisted tightly as he stared at Lian's disappearing figure. A hint of dissatisfaction appeared in his eyes. He did not want to be ordered around by Lian. However, he had no choice at all. He could only do as he was told unless he forsook his family. Meanwhile, in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctums, first mine. Inside a mining cave, the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples stood far away from the area where Duan Ling Tian was mining since they were afraid of him. For that reason, he was mining first-grade saint stones with ease. If this goes on, I'll be able to collect a huge number of first-grade saint stones soon. Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself as he put the saint stones into the extra-large wicker basket behind him and also into Seven Treasures' exquisite pagoda as well. His movement was as smooth as water. Nobody would be able to catch on to what Duan Ling Tian did unless they stared at him intently. The first-grade saint stones might not be useful to Duan Ling Tian who was in the fire worship sect, but it would be a great fortune once he left the sect. The saint stone was a common transaction currency in the upper province of the Dalmartial Saint Land. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian's sword was met with resistance. He instantly extended his divine consciousness to investigate. Soon after, he noticed a saint stone emanating rich heaven and earth spirit energy that was embedded in a huge first-grade saint stone ore. The richness of the heaven and earth spirit energy far exceeded the first-grade saint stones. A quasi-celestial grade saint stone. Duan Ling Tian's eyes brightened immediately as he became excited. However, his expression changed into one of calmness as he continued working as though nothing out of the ordinary had happened. As he maintained his usual expression, Duan Ling Tian threw the huge celestial grade saint stones into the Seven Treasures' exquisite pagoda. His movement was stealthy and did not attract anyone's attention. It seems like I'm quite lucky. It's only the second day, but I've already found a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. Moreover, the quasi-celestial grade saint stones isn't small. Although his expression was calm, inside he was feeling a little overwhelmed. As far as he knew, it would take an average of 10 days for an ordinary four-symbol sanctum's disciple to find a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. The reserve in the four-symbol sanctum's first mine was a first-grade saint stone reserve after all. Although there were quasi-celestial grade saint stones, the number was few. However, this four-symbol sanctum's first mine is really petty. There's no reward even if we find a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. We still have complete our daily tasks. There's no difference if we mine first-grade saint stones or quasi-celestial grade saint stones. Duan Lingtian grumbled inwardly. Chapter 1972. It was Duan Lingtian's second day in the four-symbol sanctum's first mine. For this reason, he had gotten much bolder. As he threw the first-grade saint stones that he mined into the wicker basket on his back, he also secretly threw many first-grade saint stones into the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, increasing the first-grade saint stones in there. In terms of quantity, the first-grade saint stones that Duan Lingtian sent into the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda on the second day was about twice the quantity that he sent in on the first day. Soon after, Duan Lingtian completed his daily task and returned to the only Primus house in the punishment zone of the four-symbol sanctum's first mine. Right now, Duan Lingtian had already been widely acknowledged as the strongest person among the four-symbol sanctum's disciples in the first mine's punishment zone. When he walked out, many four-symbol sanctum's disciples would address him as Senior Brother Lingtian politely when they saw him. The strong ones were revered in this world. Duan Lingtian's strength when fought Sunda had earned the respect of many four-symbol sanctum's disciples. I should be able to cut the quasi-celestial grade saint stones inside into 100 standard-sized quasi-celestial grade saint stones. After returning to the Primus house, Duan Lingtian took out the quasi-celestial grade saint stones that was the size of a basketball before cutting it. Swish, 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 comma. As his hands moved about, the quasi-celestial grade saint stone that was about the size of a basketball was split into 123 pieces of quasi-celestial grade saint stones. As expected of the quasi-celestial grade saint stone, what a rich heaven and earth spirit energy. Duan Lingtian could clearly sense the heaven and earth spirit energy the quasi-celestial grade saint stones emitted. I still remember that I obtained 3 formation compasses when I was in the moon illumination sect that are offensive, defensive, and hallucinogenic. I wonder what kind of power they would demonstrate if they're activated using the quasi-celestial grade saint stones. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he took out the spatial ring he had hidden inside the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. This spatial ring was the one that he usually wore. The spatial ring that he handed over when he arrived at the punishment zone in the four-symbol sanctum's first mine was an empty spatial ring. However, since he did not remove his ownership of the spatial ring, no one would discover that it was actually empty. When Duan Lingtian learned he would have to hand over his spatial ring when he arrived at the four-symbol sanctum's first mine, Duan Lingtian had already secretly switched his spatial ring. At that time, even the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang who came together with him did not notice his little trick. With just a thought, he took out the 3 formation compasses that had been left untouched for many years. After that, he picked up the hallucinogenic formation and inserted 9 quasi-celestial grade saint stones into the indentations on the formation compass. After inserting the saint stones, Duan Lingtian immediately activated the formation compass. Crack. However, as soon as Duan Lingtian activated the formation compass, a crisp sound rang in the air. As it turned out, the formation compass he was holding in his hands had shattered. It's destroyed by the saint stone's energy. Duan Lingtian was stunned. He did not expect the energy from the 9 quasi-celestial grade saint stones would be so tyrannical to the point that it would destroy the formation compass. Looks like this formation compass is not a high-grade one. To think it would be destroyed by the 9 quasi-celestial grade saint stones, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. I wonder what's the limit of what it could endure. Soon after, Duan Lingtian looked at the other 2 formation compasses. After trying for a while, he discovered the 2 formation compasses could only handle 2 first-grade saint stones at the most. The offensive formation compass was also destroyed when he experimented by putting in 3 first-grade saint stones. He only had the defensive formation compass left. However, the defensive formation compass activated by 2 first-grade Saint Stones was not useful to the current Duan Ling Tian. For this reason, he quickly put away the defensive formation compass. I can't believe I destroyed 2 formation compasses by just experimenting. Duan Ling Tian shook his head as he looked at the 2 broken formation compasses. However, he did not find it to be a pity since he did not think the formation compasses would be of any help to him even if they were not broken. I'll continue to comprehend the number 1 defensive divine ability in the fire worship sect, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Initially, I thought it would take half a year inside the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda for me to comprehend it. However, I'm confident I'll be able to successfully master it in 3 months at most. As soon as he thought about this, he no longer wasted any time and quickly entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Ever since he witnessed Sunda casting the Black Turtle's Barrier, his knowledge about the Black Turtle's Barrier had increased. Just 10 days inside the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, which was equivalent to a day outside, he had further comprehended the profundity of the Black Turtle's Barrier. According to Duan Ling Tian's estimation, based on his current progress, it would not take him more than 3 months to successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Duan Ling Tian was unaware that while he was comprehending the Black Turtle's Barrier, another person in the Black Turtle Sanctum had committed a crime and was also sent to the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine. The fact that this person had committed a crime had greatly shocked everyone in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Although this person was only an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, since he was acknowledged by everyone as the great senior brother, every small action of his was enough to raise a commotion in the Black Turtle Sanctum. This person was none other than Hong Shu, whom everyone regarded as the great senior brother in the Black Turtle Sanctum. When Hong Shu arrived at the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine, it was already past noon, so there was no need for him to go to the mines. He went to the residence of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples. His arrival had caught the attention of many 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples who were returning with their wicker baskets on their backs. Senior Brother Hong Shu, it really is Senior Brother Hong Shu. Senior Brother Hong Shu has also been banished to the First Mine. Many people recognized Hong Shu. Apart from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, other people from the other 3 sanctums recognized him as well. As the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum, Hong Shu was also famous in the 4 Symbols Sanctums. For this reason, many people recognized him. I wonder what crime did senior brother Hong Shu commit? To think that he's also sent to the 4 Symbols Sanctums First Mine too. No matter what crime he committed, there's no way he'll stay in the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine for long. He has already reached the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage, so he won't have to serve his sentence once the Saint Land's assessment comes along. At that time, he'll enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. Indeed, although they were surprised to see Hong Shu here, most of the disciples felt that he would be able to leave the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine soon. Where's Duan Ling Tian staying? Hong Shu asked a disciple who was standing nearby. When he saw more and more 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples began to gather around. As soon as this 4 Symbols Sanctums disciple heard Hong Shu question, he did not dare to dally and quickly pointed at the highest suspended island and said, the Primus House. A majestic mansion stood on the suspended island. The mansion had a front and back courtyard. This was the only Primus house in the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine. Whoosh! As soon as Hong Shu received his answer, he soared into the sky and arrived in front of the Primus house. Senior brother Hong Shu plans to snatch the Primus house? I don't think so. Didn't you hear him ask where senior brother Duan Ling Tian is staying? If he plans to snatch the Primus house, he would have directly headed to the Primus house. Is there a need for him to ask where senior brother Duan Ling Tian is staying? Today's senior brother Hong Shu's first day in the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine. Perhaps, he has heard the news of Duan Ling Tian defeating senior brother Sunda. He might be unaware that senior brother Sunda used to live in the Primus house before Duan Ling Tian moved in. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked such a question. Then, does this mean senior brother is looking for senior brother Duan Ling Tian? Could he have intentionally committed a crime to look for senior brother Duan Ling Tian in the 4 Symbols Sanctums, First Mine? That's possible. When the 4 Symbols Sanctums disciples were still discussing among themselves, Hong Shu was already standing in front of the Primus house. He said loudly, Duan Ling Tian. I, Hong Shu, am taking your Primus house. Naturally, that was not his real intention. He only said this so the others would not feel suspicious. After all, the reason he had intentionally committed a crime to be sent to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine was to kill Duan Lingtian. Apart from him, the only person who knew about this was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian, who threatened him using his clan. The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene finally obtained the answer to their question. It looks like Senior Brother Hongshu really plans to snatch the Primus house from Senior Brother Duan Lingtian. Isn't that akin to snatching the food from the jaw of a tiger? Only a few Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples had a slight frown on their faces. They felt that something was not right. This was because Hongshu had asked where Duan Lingtian was. He did not ask where the Primus house was. Although they felt that something was not right, it did not even occur to them that Hongshu had come to kill Duan Lingtian. Hongshu. It seems like I've heard this name before. Duan Lingtian, who was comprehending the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, suddenly opened his eyes when he heard Hongshu's voice. His eyes brightened as he said, I remember now. Hongshu is the great senior brother of our Black Turtle Sanctum. As a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, although Duan Lingtian had not seen Hongshu before, he had, naturally, heard of him. Chapter 1973. I heard Hongshu's cultivation base is already at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. He's also currently the only Mastery Quintessential Saint stage powerhouse in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Previously, Duan Lingtian had heard things about great senior brother Hongshu of Black Turtle Sanctum. Therefore, he was no stranger to Hongshu. I wonder what he did to be sentenced to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. However, with his strength, he would definitely be able to pass the Saint Land's assessment in the near future and enter the Saint Land to be a disciple. Hongshu wouldn't stay in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine for long. Duan Lingtian knew this very well. However, if he wants to snatch the Primus house from me, we'll have to see if he has the capability or not. With that thought in mind, Duan Lingtian left the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. After leaving the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, Duan Lingtian put the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda away and walked out. He shot out like an arrow as soon as he opened the door. Duan Lingtian moved like a gust of wind before he stopped and stood opposite an aloof person outside the Primus house. He's Hongshu. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian sized up the middle-aged man standing before him seriously. The middle-aged man has an ordinary build. His appearance was ordinary as well. One would not be able to pick him out in a crowd. Duan Lingtian. While Duan Lingtian was sizing up Hongshu, Hongshu was also sizing up Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was the target of his trip here. Meanwhile, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Li An's words to him before he came to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine rang in his ears again. Hongshu, I know you know in your heart that regardless of how things end up, you'll definitely end up dead. I'm warning you, if Duan Lingtian is alive, I'll take it that you showed him mercy even if you die, and I'll vent my anger on the Hong clan. These words completely defeated Hongshu and snuffed out the last of his hope. Initially, he thought since he was going to die anyway, he would spare Duan Lingtian at the last moment, and let Duan Lingtian kill him. In that case, he would not feel so guilty. Duan Lingtian was innocent after all. Moreover, he really hated Lian. Naturally, he did not want things to go Lian's way. When he heard Lian's words, he completely dismissed this idea. Duan Lingtian must die. Otherwise, his clan would be annihilated even if he died. Duan Lingtian, I'm sorry, I have to kill you for the sake of my family. Don't worry, I'll join you soon after you die. If there's such a thing like reincarnation, I'm willing to serve you to compensate you, Hongshu thought to himself as he looked at Duan Lingtian. In the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the reasons Hongshu was publicly acknowledged as great senior brother, apart from his strength, was due to his kindness. He was known to be a nice person and had no dispute with anyone. What a pity that such a nice person was forced into a corner by Lian. A hint of sorrow could be seen in Hongshu's eyes. Duan Lingtian managed to catch the sorrowful look in Hongshu's eyes. What's Hongshu sad about? It can't be that he couldn't bear to snatch the Primus house away from me, right? If that's the case, why did he come to challenge me? Duan Lingtian thought this was the reason for Hongshu's sorrow-filled eyes. After all, not even in Duan Lingtian's wildest dreams did he think that the Black Turtle Sanctum's great senior brother Hongshu, whom he had never met before, would want to kill him the first time they meet. Duan Lingtian, Hong Shu said bluntly, today, whether you give up on the Primus house or not, I still want to fight you. I wish to see the 3 high-grade divine abilities that you've mastered. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Hong Shu's words. It seemed like he was being overconfident. Did he think that Duan Lingtian was going to give up the Primus house without putting up a fight? Senior brother Hong Shu seems very confident. The 4 symbols sanctums, disciples who were present also caught the underlying meaning in Hong Shu's words. With 3 high-grade divine abilities, senior brother Duan Lingtian won't be any weaker than a mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Based on senior brother Hong Shu's words, it's clear that he's underestimating senior brother Duan Lingtian. That's what I think as well. Do you think senior brother Duan Lingtian is going to give up the Primus house? How's that possible? Based on senior brother Duan Lingtian's character, he won't just give up the Primus house unless senior brother Hong Shu defeats him. The group of 4 symbols sanctums, disciples discussed among themselves. None of them thought Duan Lingtian would give up the Primus house without putting up a fight. Suddenly, one of the 4 symbols sanctums, disciples appeared by the side of another 4 symbols sanctums, disciple. He asked in shock, Chengji, why are you here? What did you do? The 4 symbols sanctums, disciple before him was also from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Moreover, they were fairly close. I'll speak to you about it later. The latter shook his head as his eyes were trained on Hong Shu. For now, let's watch the show. We might be able to learn something from their fight. Upon hearing Cheng Ji's words, the former nodded in agreement and shifted his attention to Hong Shu. However, at this moment, Cheng Ji narrowed his eyes as he sent Hong Shu a voice transmission. Senior brother Hong Shu, Elder Lian sent me here. If you can kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength, you're to pass me the Kismet rejoining pill after you kill him. Upon hearing the voice, Hong Shu glanced at a 4 symbols sanctums, disciple nearby from the corner of his eyes. Although he did not know this 4 symbols sanctums, disciple, he was certain he was from the Black Turtle Sanctum. After hearing the voice transmission, Hong Shu nodded discreetly despite the anger in his heart. Before he left for the 4 symbols sanctums, first mine, Lian came to see him and spoke to him for a while. Hong Shu, it's best if you can kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength. After killing him, hand over the Kismet rejoining pill to a Black Turtle Sanctum disciple I will send to the first mine as well without attracting any attention. He'll be in touch with you when the time comes. At the same time, he'll be watching you closely to see if you're able to kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength. If he sees that you take the Kismet rejoining pill even though you can do it with your own strength, don't blame me if something happens to your clan. Hong Shu felt wronged and resentful when he recalled Lian's words. However, Hong Shu was right. As he had previously guessed, a rare forbidden pill like the Kismet rejoining pill was extremely precious even for someone like Lian. For the sake of the pill, Lian even sent another Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple to the 4 symbols sanctums, first mine. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he looked at Hong Shu and asked coldly, Hong Shu, don't you think you're underestimating me too much? Did you think I'll surrender without putting up a fight? I'm merely worried that I won't be able to enjoy this fight, Hong Shu responded in an equally cold voice. Rest assured, I'll make sure you enjoy this fight to your heart's content. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the Sun Saint energy within Duan Lingtian's body surged through his 99 saint veins and whirlpools began to form around him. The elementary devouring tactic. At the same time, the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings were sucked into the whirlpools. All of the heaven and earth spirit energy entered Duan Lingtian's body and raised his Sun Saint energy. After a few moments, the whirlpools disappeared. All this happened in just a blink of an eye. However, in that short amount of time, Duan Lingtian had absorbed all the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings. Naturally, the effect was only temporary. Once he depleted his spiritual energy, the effect would disappear as well. At that time, his Sun Saint energy would return to normal. Such a useful assist-type divine ability. Hong Shu widened his eyes when he sensed the changes in Duan Lingtian's saint energy. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian merely emitted the aura of a cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian's aura had changed to that of a cultivator at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Golden crow wings. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. As it flapped slightly, the surroundings, temperature seemed to have risen. Boom, boom, boom. Loud explosions reverberated in the air as Duan Lingtian flapped his golden crow's wings. He struck first and charged toward Hong Shu. Since he was fighting Hong Shu, a mastery quintessential saint stage cultivator from the Black Turtle Sanctum, he did not dare to act recklessly. That was why he decided to strike first. Hong Shu, take this. In just a short time, Duan Lingtian appeared near Hong Shu. He pushed his hand down as saint energy surged out of it. As soon as he finished speaking, a palm print appeared and charged toward Hong Shu. The palm print flew down like a gigantic mountain trying to squash Hong Shu and trap him. How timely! Faced with Duan Lingtian's attack, Hong Shu cried out as he charged forward. Boom! Faced with Duan Lingtian's attack, Hong Shu did not avoid it but faced it directly as he fisted his right hand. His saint energy surged out to meet Duan Lingtian's attack. Chapter 1974. Bang! An earth-shattering noise sounded when Duan Lingtian's palm attack collided with Hong Shu's fist. The collision was violent. It caused air turbulence and deafening explosions. From the center of the collision, airwaves swept out, turning into a flurry of hurricane. The strong wind felt like a sharp knife, forcing some of Four Symbols' sanctums. Disciples with weaker cultivation base to take a few steps backward. Boom, 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 boom. It sounded as though the sky was falling. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Hong Shu stood unmoving like a statue. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian, who made the first move, was defeated by the mighty attack. It took him a while to completely avoid the remnant force of Hong Shu's attack. Hong Shu was a mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouse after all. His fist contained the saint energy at the mastery quintessential saint stage that was powerful. On the other hand, even with the help of the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, Duan Lingtian's Sun Saint energy was merely comparable to an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Therefore, he was at a disadvantageous position in this fight. The strength of a mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouse is actually so terrifying. The Four Symbols' sanctums, disciples were shocked when they saw Duan Lingtian had fallen into a disadvantageous position. They did not expect Hong Shu to be so strong. Although they were surprised by Hong Shu's strength, they were still not certain Hong Shu would emerge victorious in the fight with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was someone who had mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities after all. One of the high-grade divine abilities he mastered was even an offensive divine ability. It was also the only divine ability he had not used. In regards to brute strength, I'm still inferior to him, Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he looked at Hong Shu. However, he was not discouraged. This was because he had even more powerful attacks. After Hong Shu sent Duan Lingtian flying with a punch, Hong Shu did not go after him. Instead, he said coldly, "Just use your high-grade offensive divine ability, otherwise, you're no match for me." It was not that he did not want to pursue Duan Lingtian, but Duan Lingtian's high-grade movement divine ability was too fast. When Duan Lingtian charged toward him using the high-grade movement divine ability, Hong Shu discovered Duan Lingtian's speed was comparable to someone at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. In fact, he might even be faster than most people at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. Due to this reason, he did not chase after Duan Lingtian. As long as he was able to wait until Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability lost its effect, he would have a chance to kill Duan Lingtian. It would extremely easy for him to kill him at that time. "As you wish," Duan Lingtian said softly as soon as he heard Hong Shu's words. He looked at Hong Shu as he flapped his wings again and charged toward Hong Shu at lightning speed. At this moment, Hong Shu's expression turned solemn, his saint energy was faintly showing on the surface of his body in preparation for Duan Lingtian's attack. Currently, Duan Lingtian's strength was equivalent to an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator with the help of his assist-type divine ability. Hong Shu did not dare to underestimate an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator attacking with a high-grade offensive divine ability. Boom! While Duan Lingtian arrived near Hong Shu, a loud explosion sounded. The noise came from him stomping his legs as he shot up even higher in the air. Golden Crow Wings, Otherworldly Celestial, a high-grade movement divine ability coupled with a high-grade offensive divine ability. Duan Lingtian seemed to have disappeared in the sky above in just a blink of an eye. Hong Shu's expression turned even more solemn when he saw this. Is senior brother Duan Lingtian going to use his high-grade offensive divine ability? At the same time, the eyes of the Four Symbols' sanctums, disciples brightened immediately. All of them stared unblinkingly at the sky. "He's back," someone cried out suddenly. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian appeared from the clouds. However, Duan Lingtian was not alone. There were 5 people altogether. It's just like the rumors said. Many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum disciples' eyes lit up. Previously, they had heard about Duan Lingtian's high-grade offensive. When they saw 5 Duan Lingtians, they finally realized Duan Lingtian had cast his high-grade offensive divine ability. All the Duan Lingtians who descended from the sky high above looked as elegant as a celestial as their robes fluttered. Although they looked elegant, the 100 inscriptions saint swords in all 5 pairs of hands emitted an extremely cold and piercing aura. At this moment, Duan Lingtian seemed like a sword celestial. Moreover, there were 5 of him diving down to attack Hongshu at the same time. His attacks contained the otherworldly celestial and the profundity of the supreme sword Dao mental cultivation method, the 3rd stage of the sovereign heart sword. It was an extremely powerful sword technique. Wang. At some point, Hongshu had also taken out his saint saber. He began to tremble when he saw there were 5 Duan Lingtians. He was trembling not because he was afraid but because he was inserting more and more saint energy into his saint saber. The saint saber in Hongshu's hands was a 100 inscriptions saint saber. It was the Hong clan who spent a fortune to search for a powerful saint inscription master to forge it specifically for him. It was very powerful. Hence, in his battle with Duan Lingtian, put aside other factors, he was definitely not inferior when it came to saint weapons. Saber King Ingress. Hongshu cried out as he faced the high-grade offensive divine ability, the otherworldly celestial. Following that, the saint energy on his body surged and then dispersed into the surroundings. It created a huge shadow that shrouded him. The gigantic shadow had a humanoid shape. One could vaguely see it had a strong build and exerted an extremely oppressive aura. It held a giant saber in its hand that exuded a piercing aura. It seemed as though the god of saber had arrived as air explosions sounded in the air. This was the medium-grade offensive divine ability that Hongshu mastered, the Saber King Ingress. It was a saber-type offensive divine ability. That divine ability would summon a Saber King that he could control. The attacks were stronger than his own attacks. Ghastly Shadow Thousand Strike, Hongshu cried out as he made his move. The 100 inscriptions Saint Saber moved and left a gust of wind in its wake. All of these happened in just a blink of an eye. Slash! Hongshu shouted under everyone's watchful eyes as he moved the 100 inscription Saint Saber in his hands. Simultaneously, the Saber King Ingress made a move as well. The Saber King's movement mimicked Hongshu's movements. The 100 inscriptions Saint Saber in Hongshu's hand slashed toward Duan Lingtian who was standing nearby. At the same time, the saber in the Saber King's hands also slashed toward Duan Lingtian. Wang, 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 comma, a cacophonous sound filled the air. One after another powerful saber rays charged toward the 5 Duan Lingtians who looked like celestials. There were hundreds and thousands of saber rays, it seemed as though they had turned into a web and intend to trap Duan Lingtian inside. The 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples were still in a daze when Duan Lingtian cried out, "Break!" In the next moment, under the watchful eyes of those 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples, the 100 inscription saint swords of all 5 Duan Lingtians who seemed like a sword celestial suddenly lit up. From a distance, they looked like 5 blazing suns, dazzling and blinding. The saber web brought darkness with it. However, as the 5 blazing suns rose, it chased away the darkness. Bang, 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 bang. Another series of deafening explosions rang in the air of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples, but they still stared unblinkingly at the scene unfolding before their eyes. Even those with weaker cultivation base gritted their teeth and held on just to watch the fight. Nobody wanted to miss this. Under everyone's stares, the saber web was destroyed in the wake of Duan Lingtian's 500 inscription saint swords. Suddenly, all 5 Duan Lingtians merged into one along with the 100 inscription saint swords. Currently, Duan Lingtian stood with his sword like an invincible sword celestial. Wherever his sword pointed, it would bring about destruction. Wah! After the saber web was completely destroyed, the Saber King Ingress had also disappeared. Hongshu suffered a huge backlash, causing him to throw up a mouthful of blood and his face to turn pale. Senior brother Hongshu lost. It seems to be the case. Senior brother Duan Lingtian is just too strong. This high-grade offensive divine ability looks invincible. Even if senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength isn't at the peak of the quintessential saint stage, he seemed quite close to it. There aren't many mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouses who would be a match for him, let alone defeat him. Admiration filled the eyes of the four symbol sanctums disciples as they looked at Duan Lingtian. Apart from being impressed by Duan Lingtian's strength, his strength had also gained their respect. Hong Shu, you lost. Duan Lingtian said calmly as he looked at Hong Shu. However, inwardly, Duan Lingtian was not really calm. I didn't think the power of the otherworldly celestial would improve so much. Hong Shu's strike wasn't weak at all, and yet, I was able to destroy it. Chapter 1975. Hong Shu's prior attack contained an extraordinary saber martial technique and saber divine ability. Duan Lingtian could clearly see and sense it. It was only natural Duan Lingtian thought that it was Hong Shu's strongest attack. Even his strongest attack was destroyed by him. What else could Hong Shu use to fight him? While most of the four symbols sanctums disciples, including Duan Lingtian, thought Hong Shu would back down, Hong Shu retrieved a pill bottle from his robes under everyone's watchful eyes. Pa! The pill bottle was crushed open as soon as Hong Shu tightened his grip. In the next moment, a blood-red pill with a black aura that emitted a chilling aura appeared before everyone's eyes. In just a move, Hong Shu consumed the pill. When he swallowed the pill, the noise was audible to everyone present. That's not a healing medicinal pill. Duan Lingtian's expression changed as his eyes widened. He would be able to tell if it was a healing medicinal pill, but the pill Hong Shu had consumed was definitely not a healing medicinal pill. It emitted an extremely dangerous vibe. Boom! The four symbols sanctums disciples were still confused when Hong Shu's saint energy surged again. However, his current saint energy seemed to be on a different level compared to before. His current saint energy made everyone, including Duan Lingtian, feel as though he was invincible. Meanwhile, Hong Shu's eyes turned red. The lingering saint energy around his body was laced with a black aura that sent chills running up the others' spines. Forbidden pill. It was unknown who had cried out, but the person's words instantly caused an uproar. Senior brother Hong Shu actually consumed a forbidden pill. Isn't it just a Primus house? Is it necessary to take things so far? Although the effects of a forbidden pill are similar to the effects of an assist-type divine ability, the aftereffects are worse than the aftereffects of an assist-type divine ability. It can't be compared at all since its aftereffects are harmful. Has senior brother Hong Shu gone crazy? Is it necessary to consume a forbidden pill just for the sake of a Primus house? Even if he defeats Duan Lingtian by consuming the forbidden pill, Duan Lingtian could still snatch the Primus house when the aftereffects set in. I really don't know what's going through his mind. After Hong Shu consumed the pill, the changes began to show on his body. It caused an uproar among the four symbols sanctums disciples. Based on their words, it was obvious they were baffled by Hong Shu's actions. Forbidden pill. When Duan Lingtian heard the four symbols sanctums disciples' words, a hint of wariness appeared in Duan Lingtian's eyes. Naturally, he had heard of forbidden pills. He knew that it was an extremely terrifying pill that could boost one's strength to a terrifying stage in a short amount of time. Naturally, the aftereffects were terrifying as well. After Hong Shu consumes the forbidden pill, his saint energy seemed to have moved past the peak of the quintessential saint stage. What's the forbidden pill that he took? Based on Duan Lingtian's knowledge, the more a forbidden pill could improve one's cultivation base, the more valuable it was. A forbidden pill that could raise one's cultivation base from the mastery quintessential saint stage to the peak quintessential saint stage would be a rarity in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He wants to kill me. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian finally realized that Hong Shu intended to kill him. Hong Shu was emitting a killing intent from his body. It was as though he would not rest until Duan Lingtian was dead. In the next moment, Hong Shu made his move. As Duan Lingtian watched Hong Shu was charging toward him at an outrageously fast speed. He was giving off an extremely dangerous vibe. Golden Crow's wings. Duan Lingtian instantly mobilized the Sun Saint energy and transformed it into the Golden Crow's wings. As he flapped his wings, he shot away at an extremely fast speed. He was trying to widen the gap between him and Hong Shu. However, even after he used the Golden Crow's wings to fly as fast and as far away as he could, he discovered Hong Shu, who was emitting killing intent, was even faster than he had imagined. In fact, he was even a little faster than Duan Lingtian. As time passed, the gap between Hong Shu and Duan Lingtian began to shorten. The four symbols sanctums disciples who were present had naturally noticed that as well. God, what's senior brother Hong Shu doing? Is he trying to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian? Such a terrifying killing intent. When did senior brother Duan Lingtian offend senior brother Hong Shu to the point that senior brother Hong Shu would go so far as to consume a forbidden pill just to kill him? That's why senior brother Hong Shu had asked where senior brother Duan Lingtian was and not where the Primus house was. As it turns out, we've misunderstood his intention. What he wanted was not the Primus house but senior brother Lingtian's life. Didn't I say so? It's impossible senior brother Hong Shu would consume a forbidden pill just for the sake of a Primus house. As it turns out, he wants to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian. The four symbols sanctums, disciples present finally realized Hong Shu was trying to kill Duan Lingtian. Several disciples left in a hurry to notify the elders in the first mine's punishment zone since there were no elders stationed in the residence of the four symbols sanctums, disciples in the punishment zone. Duan Lingtian, you can stop running, your strongest point is your speed. If you compare your attack to your attack is much weaker. I can finally catch up to you now. Do you think you can block my offensive divine ability? Hong Shu said coldly as the distance between him and Duan Lingtian grew closer and closer. My current strength is very close to the Saint Celestial stage. It can be considered as invincible among those below the Saint Celestial stage. Unless your cultivation base is at the Saint Celestial stage, you will die today. Hong Shu said indifferently. Hong Shu, you consumed a forbidden pill just to kill me? Duan Lingtian asked in his deep voice. He was extremely shocked. Although he knew the increase in Hong Shu's strength was significant after he consumed the forbidden pill, he did not think it was anywhere close to being at the Saint Celestial stage. That was the reason why Hong Shu's speed was faster than him even after he had cast the Golden Crow's wings. What forbidden pill did senior brother Hong Shu consume? The effects are outrageous. He's merely a mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator, and yet, his strength has increased to such a terrifying stage. The forbidden pill he consumed couldn't be an ordinary forbidden pill. You're right, an ordinary forbidden pill wouldn't have such an outrageous effect. Upon hearing Hong Shu's words, the four symbols sanctums, disciples were in shock and disbelief. Senior brother Hong Shu shouldn't be able to possess a valuable forbidden pill such as that, right? That's true. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, such a forbidden pill is scarce. Generally, only quasi-celestial grade saint refinement master who are proficient in medicinal refinement can refine a pill like that. I heard senior brother Hong Shu comes from a third-rate clan. It's impossible for him to possess such a pill. While most of the four symbols sanctums, disciples were shocked, they did not forget to gossip among themselves. Since things have escalated to this stage, I'll just admit it. You're right, I consumed the forbidden pill just to kill you, Duan Lingtian. Hong Shu growled. If I'm not mistaken, this is my first time meeting you. There's no enmity between us, why do you want to kill me? Duan Lingtian asked again. I'll explain it to you when you're on your way to hell. Hong Shu growled. Sha. Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically at this moment. It was obvious Hong Shu was planning to die along with him. How much did Hong Shu hate him to the extent that he would give up his life just to kill him? Upon hearing Hong Shu's words, the four symbols sanctums, disciples were shocked again. They all understood the underlying meaning in Hong Shu's words. Goodness! Did senior brother Duan Lingtian kill senior brother Hong Shu's father or his wife? Senior brother Hong Shu would die just to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian. Yes, only this kind of enmity will drive someone insane. Many four symbols sanctums, disciples discussed among themselves. Saber King Ingress. Hong Shu cried out suddenly when he was still quite a distance away from Duan Lingtian. He had cast his medium-grade offensive divine ability, the Saber King Ingress again. Instantly, a Saber King as large as a mountain appeared. The size of the Saber King was twice the size of the one from earlier. Moreover, the aura from this Saber King and the saber in his hand was a lot more terrifying as well. It seemed like the two were on completely different levels. Duan Lingtian's expression changed dramatically when he saw this. He knew that not only was Hong Shu faster than him, but his attack could completely destroy his strongest attack. Even if he had mastered the third stage of the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, he might not necessarily be a match for Hong Shu. Ghastly Shadow Thousand Strike. Hong Shu cried out again as the 100 Saint inscription Saint Saber in Hong Shu's shone as bright as the moon as it slashed down at Duan Lingtian. Simultaneously, the Saber King made its move as well. He mimicked Hong Shu and swung his saber at Duan Lingtian. The sky seemed to change color in the wake of the saber. Even the sun did not seem as bright. Oh no! Duan Lingtian, who was being targeted, could only watch as the saber ray that seemed capable of cutting through anything formed a web. He felt suffocated as though there was a huge rock on his chest. It was excruciatingly painful. Chapter 1976. The saber web moved toward Duan Lingtian thunderously. One could imagine if Duan Lingtian was shrouded by the saber web, he would definitely die. It's impossible for me to block Hong Shu's strike with my current strength. It seems that I have no choice but to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Faced with the immensely powerful saber web, Duan Lingtian mobilized the Sun Saint energy in his body and activated the dragon energy hidden in his body. As the dragon energy passed Duan Lingtian's body, there would be an earth-shattering change to his appearance. Both his hands and legs had transformed into that of a dragon's claws. Glistening scales also appeared all over his body. Duan Lingtian's gaze turned colder as he held on to the 100 inscriptions Saint sword after he stretched his dragon's claws and felt the explosive power in his body. He turned to face the saber web that was charging toward him at an incredibly fast speed. This was the only thing he could do at this moment. After transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, his speed did not increase significantly. Most of the improvements were on his defense and physical strength. His physical strength worked well with his Sun Saint energy, enabling him to cast more powerful attacks. At this moment, Duan Lingtian no longer bothered to hide that he could transform into 9-clawed dragon warrior since there was no way for him to hide it anymore. Faced with Hong Shu, whose strength had improved greatly due to the forbidden pill, he only had two options left. He could either transform into 9-clawed dragon warrior or he could use the celestial supreme treasure, the Jasper celestial sword. He had to make a choice quickly. Otherwise, he would die. With his current Sun Saint energy, he was confident he could kill a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage if he used the Jasper Celestial Sword, let alone Hong Shu, whose strength was merely close to the Saint Celestial stage. However, in his opinion, exposing the Jasper Celestial Sword would lead to more trouble. It was better for him to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. If he took the Jasper Celestial Sword out, even the sect leader of Fire Worship sect would covet it. That was why he decided to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. After transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, Duan Lingtian's defense and brute strength had improved a level. If Hong Shu had come 7 or 8 days later, I wouldn't even have to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior to defeat him. Duan Lingtian thought as he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. This was because at that time he would be able to master the Black Turtle's barrier, since 7 or 8 days outside were equivalent to 80 or 90 days in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. He was confident he would be able to master the Black Turtle's barrier in that amount of time. It was unfortunate that Hong Shu came so quickly to the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, first mine. After Duan Lingtian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he took his sword and slashed at Hong Shu's saber web. The 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples present widened their eyes in horror as they stared at Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was a completely different man in their eyes. He had transformed from a human to a humanoid dragon. He has transformed into a dragon warrior. Among the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples present, there were some who had seen and experienced enough to know what happened to Duan Lingtian. Dragon warrior. According to the rumors, dragon warriors are humans who are gifted the gift of dragonization by a divine dragon with more than 7 claws. These divine dragons can only bestow dragonization once in their lives. It didn't even cross my mind that senior brother Duan Lingtian is a dragon warrior. I wonder which 7-clawed divine dragon from the dragon clan gave him the gift of dragonization. The 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples continued to discuss among themselves in shock. All of their attention was focused on Duan Lingtian's body that they neglected to notice the 9 claws that he possessed. They would have been even more shocked if they had noticed this, since a 9-clawed dragon warrior was like a mythical creature to them. Otherworldly celestial. After Duan Lingtian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he split himself into 5 as he advanced toward the saber web. All 4 of his clones were so alike. Even the 100 inscriptions Saint swords in their hands were identical. The otherworldly celestial was a sword-type high-grade offensive divine ability. It did not require much to cast it. With the golden crow's wings, Duan Lingtian, who had split into 5, collided with the saber web at an extremely fast speed. Previously, Duan Lingtian seemed like 5 celestials when he cast the otherworldly celestial. However, after transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he looked like 5 devils from hell with his humanoid dragon appearance. Shoo! Shoo, shoo. The sound of swords whistled in the air as all 500 inscription saint swords collided with the saber web. At this moment, not only did Duan Lingtian use the Sun Saint energy unreservedly to cast the elementary devouring tactic, but he even used all the brute force that a 9-clawed dragon's body granted him. The saber webs formed from hundreds and thousands of saber rays were being destroyed in the wake of the 5 solidified sword rays. Duan Lingtian's strength after transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior was also very close to the Saint Celestial stage. He was certainly not afraid when faced with the hundreds and thousands of saber rays from Hongshu's Saber King ingress. Wang, 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 wang. However, there were too many saber rays that formed the saber web. Although Duan Lingtian managed to destroy some of it, they still landed on Duan Lingtian. After a few moments, all 4 of Duan Lingtian's clones could no longer endure the damage and disappeared. Roar. At the same time, Duan Lingtian let out an animalistic roar. Su. A sharp and strong dragon tail appeared behind him on his back. He whipped it around, effectively destroying some of the saber rays. Even then, there was still quite a number of saber rays that landed on Duan Lingtian. Chang, 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 chang. The sound of metal colliding reverberated in the air as saber rays landed on Duan Lingtian. His scales helped him to deflect the saber rays. However, it still left marks on his dragon scales. If it was any deeper, it would have sliced through his dragon scales. Hongshu. Duan Lingtian cried out after he cleared his throat. He managed to destroy Hongshu's saber web after all. At the same time, the golden crow's wings began to flap rapidly. In the next moment, boom, 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 boom. The sound of explosions rang in the air. Duan Lingtian in his dragon humanoid form, coupled with his golden crow's wings, charged at Hongshu at lightning speed. Hongshu's face turned pale immediately. This was because he had exerted all his strength in the earlier attack after he consumed the Kismet rejoining pill. Initially, Hongshu thought Duan Lingtian would definitely die under the onslaught of such a powerful attack. Although Duan Lingtian had surprised him by transforming into a dragon warrior, he did not think Duan Lingtian would be able to resist the attack from his divine ability, the Saber King ingress, and the ghastly Shadow Thousand Strike Saber technique. Naturally, he only had these thoughts, similar to the other 4 symbols sanctums, disciples, because he thought Duan Lingtian was merely a 7-clawed dragon warrior. If Duan Lingtian was merely a 7-clawed dragon warrior, then naturally, it was impossible for him to fight Hongshu directly, let alone destroying his attack. How could a 7-clawed dragon warrior be so strong? Hongshu thought to himself as he instinctively looked at Duan Lingtian's dragon claws. The sight of his dragon claws nearly scared him to death. 9 claws. He could clearly see 9 sharp claws on each of what used to be Duan Lingtian's hands and legs. A 9-clawed divine dragon was a legendary existence even in the dragon clan. They were known as 9-clawed ancestral dragons or 9-clawed winged dragons. This Duan Lingtian, he's actually a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Hongshu's face was deathly pale. He no longer moved when faced with Duan Lingtian, who was charging at him at an extremely fast speed. This was due to the aftereffects of the forbidden pill he had consumed. The effects of the Kismet rejoining pill had disappeared. Currently, it was impossible for him to make an attack like he did earlier. Due to this reason, he had lost all motivation to fight Duan Lingtian. That, 9 claws. At the same time, after seeing Duan Lingtian destroying Hongshu's saber web that consisted of hundreds and thousands of saber rays before charging toward Hongshu at an extremely fast speed, a number of 4 symbols sanctums, disciples finally noticed the number of claws Duan Lingtian possessed. He's a 9-clawed divine dragon's claws. A 9-clawed dragon warrior. Goodness. Senior brother Duan Lingtian, he's actually a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Incredible, incredible. The 4 symbols sanctums, disciples gradually regained their senses before they were shocked again. However, their eyes never left Duan Lingtian. How's that possible? The expression of the person sent by Black Turtle Sanctum's Great Silver Flame Elder Li to monitor Hongshu had changed drastically as his eyes widened in disbelief. Chapter 1977. A 9-clawed dragon warrior. A 9-clawed dragon warrior was a legendary figure to most of 4 symbols sanctums, disciples, including Hongshu. Many 4 symbols sanctums disciples felt as though they were dreaming. They could hardly believe they had witnessed a legendary figure with their own eyes. They even pinched themselves to make sure they were not dreaming. It was real. Duan Lingtian was really a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Who would have thought senior brother Duan Lingtian is a 9-clawed dragon warrior? Senior brother Hongshu is not a match for senior brother Duan Lingtian, who has transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior even after his strength has increased almost to the Saint Celestial stage after he had taken the forbidden pill. Yes, senior brother Hongshu's attack earlier is the strongest he could muster after taking the forbidden pill. The effects of the forbidden pill must have worn off by now. It's impossible for senior brother Hongshu to cast such an attack again. Senior brother Hongshu's going to lose. Lose? Do you think it is possible senior brother Hongshu is just going to lose? He tried to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian just a moment ago. Even if senior brother Duan Lingtian kills him, it'll be regarded as self-defense. It won't be considered as violating the rules of the fire worship sect. Do you think senior brother Duan Lingtian will let him off the hook? The four symbols sanctums. Disciples whispered among themselves in shock when they saw Duan Lingtian had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Soon after, they all concluded that Duan Lingtian would kill Hongshu. Duan Lingtian flapped his golden crow's wings and charged toward Hongshu at his fastest speed. He was not worried Hongshu would escape because he knew the effects of the forbidden pill would not last long. When the effects of the forbidden pill wore off, he would be like a sitting duck. Duan Lingtian thought Hongshu would try and escape when he saw Duan Lingtian charging at him. However, he discovered Hongshu seemed to have no intention of running away. He stood in his spot motionlessly as though he was a statue. What does he intend to do? Hongshu's strange behavior made Duan Lingtian feel uneasy, causing him to stop a distance away to study Hongshu. Although he wanted to kill Hongshu, Hongshu's strange behavior caused him to feel wary. Duan Lingtian. A voice transmission rang clearly in Duan Lingtian's ears. He could tell it was Hongshu. Duan Lingtian frowned immediately. What was Hongshu trying to do? Was he going to beg for mercy? Duan Lingtian, I know there's nothing you want more than to kill me now. It's only natural since I came to kill you today. Hongshu said, I'm transmitting my voice to you because of my family, not for anything else. I know now that I'm no match for you even after consuming the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, since you're a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Moreover, the effects of your assist-type divine ability is a lot longer than the Kismet rejoining pill. It's impossible for me to kill you. The frown on Duan Lingtian's face eased a little when he heard this. It seemed like Hongshu was aware of his own capability. The Kismet rejoining pill is a renowned forbidden pill in the upper province of Dao Martial Saint Land. The Kismet rejoining pill I consumed is just a low-grade Kismet rejoining pill. A high-grade Kismet rejoining pill can even boost the strength of a Saint Celestial stage cultivator for a short period of time. A Kismet rejoining pill is a very precious pill, is only a quasi-celestial grade Saint refinement master who's focused on medicine refinement is able to refine a precious pill such as the Kismet rejoining pill, Hongshu continued to say. Duan Lingtian, who had no knowledge of the Kismet rejoining pill, finally gained some understanding about it. When he heard Hongshu's explanation, he could not help but ask, a pill that only a quasi-celestial grade Saint refinement master can refine. I'm telling you all these things because I hope you'll do me a favor. I hope that after I die, you'll inform my family to move away as quickly as possible. Hongshu's voice transmission continued to ring in Duan Lingtian's ears. I will tell you a secret to repay your kindness. I came here to kill you because our Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian threatened me with my family. The forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, I consumed was also given by him. Hongshu gritted his teeth when he mentioned Lian's name. Duan Lingtian's expression turned grim when he heard Hongshu's words. He did not doubt his words because he remembered the hint of helplessness in Hongshu's eyes when he first arrived. Duan Lingtian was confused at that time, but now he finally understood the look in Hongshu's eyes then. Hongshu had no other choice with Lian threatening him. Duan Lingtian's intention of killing Hongshu began to gradually fade. He became calmer as well. It seemed like Lian was the mastermind behind this. You can find an enforcement elder to report Lian. Duan Lingtian looked at Hongshu and said using voice transmission, if you feel that the enforcement elders are useless, you can report him in the Saint Land's enforcement hall after you've passed the Saint Land assessment and become a Saint Land disciple. It is useless, Hongshu replied using voice transmission with a forced smile on his face. Even if I succeed in reporting him, Lian will only be lightly punished. He'll definitely seek revenge after the punishment. He probably won't dare to seek revenge from me due to the rules in the sect, but he'll definitely kill my family. If it's not for my family, I wouldn't have done as he told me to, since he wouldn't dare to recklessly attack me in the fire worship sect. Hongshu paused for a moment before he said in an agonized voice, Lian told me before I came here that regardless of the reason, if I fail to kill you, he won't spare my family. I beg you, Duan Lingtian. Please try and inform my family to leave as soon as possible to avoid Lian. I'm willing to do anything in my next life to repay your kindness if you're willing to help me. Hongshu quickly hit his forehead with his palm to commit suicide as soon as he ended his voice transmission. Boom! All the four symbols sanctum's disciples, including Duan Lingtian, only regained their senses when Hongshu's body fell to the ground. Duan Lingtian looked at Hongshu's body with a complex look in his eyes before he reverted to his human form. The four symbols sanctum's disciples were shocked by what they saw. Senior brother Hongshu committed suicide. It seems like he's worried Duan Lingtian would torture him. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to commit suicide. It is better to commit suicide since death is unavoidable. Although the four symbols sanctum's disciples were surprised by Hongshu's suicide, they understood his decision. Hongshu is really useless. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple that was sent by Lian to monitor Hongshu frowned after he saw Hongshu had committed suicide. However, when his eyes shifted to Duan Lingtian's figure in the distance, an expression of fear appeared on his face. I need to inform Elder Lian that Duan Lingtian is a nine-clawed dragon warrior as soon as possible. He knew what it meant to be a nine-clawed dragon warrior. Soon after, 4 bronze flame elders in the punishment zone of the four symbols sanctum's first mine arrived. The bronze flame elders were from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, Vermilion Bird Sanctum, and the Black Turtle Sanctum respectively. They were very anxious when they heard this news and had rushed here immediately. They did not think Duan Lingtian would be able to survive. Under normal circumstances, Hongshu might not be able to kill Duan Lingtian. However, it would not be difficult for him to kill Duan Lingtian after consuming the forbidden pill. They were worried Duan Lingtian would die. Although they were not certain about Duan Lingtian's background, based on the way the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall protected him, they felt his background had to be extraordinary. Otherwise, how did Duan Lingtian gain the protection of the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall with a mere yellow innate spiritual root? They were very worried that the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall would blame them for Duan Lingtian's death, therefore they came as fast as they could. However, they were shocked when they arrived at the scene. This was because they did not expect this. Hongshu is dead. A Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder found Hongshu's body and his expression changed dramatically. He turned around to look before his gaze finally fell on Duan Lingtian. He's Duan Lingtian. At the same time, the bronze flame elders from the other 3 sanctums also looked at Duan Lingtian. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and surprise. Chapter 1978. Hongshu. Duan Lingtian paid no attention to the appearance of the elders of the punishment zone of the four symbols sanctums, first mine. His attention was solely on Hongshu. To be more precise, Hongshu's dead body. As Duan Lingtian looked at Hongshu, his voice kept resonating in his mind as well. He could feel the rage and dissatisfaction Hongshu had felt when he spoke about Black Turtle Sanctum's first silver flame elder Lian. He could feel his grievance and helplessness when he mentioned how Lian had threatened him. Hongshu's emotions had affected Duan Lingtian as well. Hongshu was originally the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum. His potential was limitless, and he was going to the Saint Land soon to become a disciple there. However, just because Lian wanted to use him to deal with Duan Lingtian, he had forced Hongshu to a dead end instead. Duan Lingtian's emotions were a little complex when he looked at Hongshu's body. Don't worry, I'll help you inform your clan. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and promised Hongshu inwardly. Naturally, he could not leave the four symbols sanctum's first mine now, but he had to inform Hongshu's clan as soon as possible. For this reason, he could only ask somebody for help. He already had someone in mind. Duan Lingtian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Faced with Hongshu whose strength was raised close to the Saint Celestial stage after he consumed the forbidden pill, Duan Lingtian had easily blocked his attack. Hongshu chose to kill himself faced with the pressure from Duan Lingtian. While Duan Lingtian was staring at Hongshu's body in a daze, the elders from the punishment zone learned about what had transpired from the four symbols sanctums, disciples present on the scene. Their hearts were in turmoil after learning about everything that had happened. Hongshu did not hesitate to consume the forbidden pill to kill Duan Lingtian. However, in the end, he still could not kill Duan Lingtian. This was because it did not cross his mind that Duan Lingtian was able to transform into the legendary nine-clawed dragon warrior. If that was not the case, he would have completed his objective of coming here. The eyes of the elders from the punishment zone changed completely when they looked at Duan Lingtian. This person before their eyes could transform into a nine-clawed dragon warrior. Even in the dragon clan, someone like that would be placed on the pedestal. Naturally, the dragon clan they thought of referred to the one in the upper province, not the lower province. Could this be the reason the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protected him? Many thoughts appeared in the elders of the punishment zone's mind. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian finally regained his senses and looked at the elders from the punishment zone before he greeted them. Good day, elders. Usually, they would have been dissatisfied if Duan Lingtian had greeted them so casually. They would feel as though he did not respect them and treat them dismissively. However, now that they had found out Duan Lingtian could transform into a nine-clawed dragon warrior, their behavior was not the same. The nine-clawed dragon warrior was a legendary being. Its position was extraordinary in the dragon clan as well. Duan Lingtian did not forget the favor Hongshu had asked of him. After greeting the elders, he quickly said, "Elders, I would like to meet Elder Peng Hua." Peng Hua was an elder in the Black Turtle Sanctum whom he had met when he first arrived in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine with the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang. He did not know anyone else in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. He thought of Peng Hua now that he wanted to contact Guo Shang. Among the four elders from the punishment zone, the Bronze Flame Elder from the Black Turtle Sanctum stepped in and said, "You want to look for Elder Peng Hua? I'll bring you to him." Duan Lingtian had also long noticed the exclusive uniform of a Bronze Flame Elder in the Black Turtle Sanctum that he was wearing. He nodded when he heard his response. "Elders, I'll leave the matters here to you then," the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder said to the other three elders as he flew out and led Duan Lingtian away. Only the Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples and the three elders from the punishment zone were left on the scene. All of them only looked away once Duan Lingtian's figure had disappeared from their sight. It was easy for the three elders from the punishment zone to deal with this matter. Hongshu had intended to kill Duan Lingtian and spared no efforts in doing so. He even consumed a forbidden pill. Although he was not successful in doing so, his crime was not small. It was clear Duan Lingtian was not in the wrong even if he had killed him, let alone the fact that Hongshu had committed suicide. After the three elders from the punishment zone cleared Hongshu's body away, they left immediately. The Four Symbols Sanctums, disciples present on the scene who had fallen silent due to elders' presence finally broke into a commotion as soon as the elders left. They discussed and whispered among themselves. From the beginning until the end, their discussion revolved around Duan Lingtian. At the same time, under the lead of the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder, Duan Lingtian finally met the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder Peng Hua whom he encountered when he arrived at the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine's punishment zone. "Duan Lingtian," Peng Hua greeted him with a smile when he saw him. He did not act arrogantly at all. "Elder Peng Hua, there's a reason I came here today. Can you please invite Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang here now? There's a favor I have to ask from him," Duan Lingtian said without beating around the bush as he looked at Peng Hua. "No problem." Peng Hua immediately agreed to Duan Lingtian's request. He seemed to realize the matter was urgent, and he quickly left for the Black Turtle Sanctum. Soon after, he returned with Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang in tow. "Duan Lingtian, is there a reason you're looking for me?" Guo Shang asked in confusion as he looked at Duan Lingtian. If it was an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who sent someone to look for Guo Shang, he would have dismissed it. No matter what, he was still the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, how could he let someone order him around? However, when he heard the person looking for him was Duan Lingtian, he came immediately without any hesitation. This was due to Duan Lingtian's innate spiritual root and his boundless potential. As long as he did not die, his achievements would not be inferior to Guo Shang in the future. Someone like that was worthy of his respect. Elder Guo Shang. When Duan Lingtian saw Guo Shang, he did not beat around the bush and recounted what happened with Hongshu through voice transmission. As Guo Shang listened to Duan Lingtian, his expression turned grimmer and grimmer. A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple had actually been forced by Li into such an extent in broad daylight. This matter infuriated Guo Shang as well. "Don't worry, I'll seek justice for him," Guo Shang said in a deep voice. Elder Guo Shang, seeking justice for him is not the most important matter now. I hope you can inform Hongshu's family about this and ask them to leave as soon as possible. If we're too late, I'm afraid Lian would vent his anger on them. Duan Lingtian said to Guo Shang solemnly, Elder Guo Shang, please help me with this matter. I'll owe you a favor. Duan Lingtian did not hesitate to owe Guo Shang a favor over this matter. This shocked Guo Shang as well. Based on your earlier words, this is your first encounter with Hongshu, right? Although he had asked this favor from you, is there a need for you to be so concerned over it? Please help me, Elder Guo Shang. Duan Lingtian said solemnly. Was there a need for him to be so concerned? Maybe. Even Duan Lingtian did not know why he was so concerned about Hongshu's matter. Perhaps, he pitied Hongshu. Or it could be that he subconsciously feel guilty since it was because of him that Lian had driven Hongshu to a dead end. Don't worry, I know Hongshu's clan. After I leave here, I'll look for 2 friends and head to Hongshu's clan to ask them to relocate. Guo Shang promised solemnly when he saw how serious Duan Lingtian was. Perhaps, he could use Hongshu's death to lodge a complaint against the Black Turtle Sanctum's Silver Flame Elder Lian. However, even if the truth was found out by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall, Lian would only be punished lightly, since he did not physically kill Lian. As for Hongshu's clan, even if Lian annihilated his clan, it did not count as violating the rules in Fire Worship Sect. Thank you, Elder Guo Shang. I, Duan Lingtian, will remember this favor of yours. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Guo Xing bade Duan Lingtian farewell and left. Duan Lingtian felt more assured after he heard Guo Shang's promise. He instantly returned to the residence of the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples and entered the Primus house as the 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples looked at him respectfully. He continued to comprehend the number 1 offensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in the Fire Worship Sect. At the same time, news of Duan Lingtian being a 9-clawed dragon warrior and how invincible he was to the extent that he forced his opponent, Hongshu, to commit suicide, had spread to all 4 sanctums and created a commotion. Duan Lingtian's a 9-clawed dragon warrior. My goodness, why would a 9-clawed dragon warrior come to our Fire Worship Sect instead of enjoying all the benefits he would receive in the Dragon Clan? After finding out that Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior, the members from the 4 sanctums were stunned. As far as they knew, the position a 7-clawed dragon warrior had in the Dragon Clan was equivalent to a 6-clawed divine dragon, while the position an 8-clawed dragon warrior was equivalent to a 7-clawed divine dragon. The position a 9-clawed dragon warrior had in the Dragon Clan, on the other hand, was equivalent to an 8-clawed divine dragon. The current Dragon Clan did not even have one 8-clawed divine dragon. Chapter 1979. To a certain extent, a dragon warrior could be considered as an advocate for the divine dragon that gave him the gift of dragonization. For example, a 7-clawed dragon warrior was the advocate for a 7-clawed divine dragon, an 8-clawed dragon warrior was the advocate for an 8-clawed divine dragon, and a 9-clawed dragon warrior was the advocate for a 9-clawed divine dragon. To think that Duan Lingtian is a 9-clawed dragon warrior. It seems like a 9-clawed divine dragon existed in our Dao martial land before. That's right, a 9-clawed divine dragon is a legendary and mythical creature to us. Prior to this, we weren't even sure if a 9-clawed divine dragon existed in the Dao martial Saint Land. However, since Duan Lingtian's able to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, it's more than enough to prove that a 9-clawed divine dragon had once existed in the Dao martial Saint Land. Duan Lingtian must have obtained the legacy of a 9-clawed divine dragon. That must be how he gained the ability to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. I'm really envious of Duan Lingtian's encounter. The news of Duan Lingtian being a 9-clawed dragon warrior had spread to every nook and cranny in the Fire Worship Sect's 4 Symbols Sanctums. The news was too shocking. After all, this meant that a 9-clawed divine dragon once existed in the Dao martial Saint Land before. That was how Duan Lingtian was able to obtain the legacy left behind by a 9-clawed divine dragon and gain the ability to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Apart from this, they could not come up with another plausible reason. Senior brother Hongshu is forced to commit suicide by Duan Lingtian. Meanwhile, it was not peaceful in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Many people could not accept it when they learned Hongshu had been forced to commit suicide when faced with the pressure from Duan Lingtian. These people were the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who had regarded the Black Turtle Sanctum's great senior brother Hongshu as their idol. Humph, What do you even mean by senior brother Duan Lingtian forced senior brother Hongshu to commit suicide? If senior brother Hongshu did not intend to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian, would senior Hongshu commit suicide due to the pressure from senior brother Duan Lingtian? What a joke! Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who knew the details of what had transpired stood on Duan Lingtian's side and defended him. That's right, Hongshu even resorted to consuming a forbidden pill just to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian. Tisk tisk, what an elaborate plan. What a pity he's not a match for senior brother Duan Lingtian even after consuming the forbidden pill. Compared to those who stood up for Hongshu, there were undoubtedly more Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples that stood on Duan Lingtian's side. As the saying went, in war, those who win become the ruler while the losers become bandits. Coupled with the fact that Duan Lingtian was not in the wrong, it was only natural there were more people supporting him compared to the people supporting Hongshu. Humph, to think that I regarded Hongshu as the great senior brother before this. I can't believe he's so ruthless that he intended to kill a fellow disciple that he didn't even think twice before he consumed a forbidden pill. I was blind before this. Me too, I regarded Hongshu as my idol previously. Now that I think about it, I feel disgusted. How could I regard someone like that as my idol? Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who originally respected Hongshu a lot changed their minds about him one by one. Hongshu's actions had hurt them. Naturally, there was a minority of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who found the incident of Hongshu attempting to kill Duan Lingtian strange. If I'm not mistaken, both of them are strangers. Why would senior brother Hongshu try to kill Duan Lingtian? Moreover, he did not even hesitate to consume a forbidden pill. How big is the enmity between them? If they had enmity, senior brother Hongshu would have long made his move on Duan Lingtian. Why would he wait until Duan Lingtian's banished to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mind before he made his move? Indeed, I also feel there's something strange about this matter. Does any of you remember that 2 days ago, Elder Lian came to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples and looked for senior brother Hongshu? You mean, Elder Lian is the one who instructed senior brother Hongshu to kill Duan Lingtian? Shish, keep your voice down. Are you seeking death? These Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were smarter and immediately guessed the incident of Guo Shang going to the Four Symbols Sanctum to kill Duan Lingtian had something to do with their Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian. After all, the dispute between Lian and Duan Lingtian was not a secret in the Black Turtle Sanctum and the Four Symbols Sanctums. Although they were aware of this, they did not dare to recklessly spread this news. If news of this spread out, and they were caught by Lian, they would be skinned alive if they were not killed. They were not Duan Lingtian and did not dare to offend Lian. When the Black Turtle Sanctum was in an uproar over Duan Lingtian and Hongshu's matter, a travel-weary Lian finally returned. As soon as he returned, before he even had time to rest, he learned about what happened in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. The person who told him about this was the person he sent to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Useless trash. After finding out Hongshu had committed suicide and Duan Lingtian was safe, Lian was so enraged that he began to curse loudly. Bang! An explosion sounded as the new stone table in the front courtyard of Lian's mansion was destroyed by him again with a slap. The useless trash he was cursing was none other than Hongshu. Initially, he thought with the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, that he had given to Hongshu, Hongshu would be able to raise his strength close to the Saint Celestial stage, and it would be easy for him to kill Duan Lingtian. Who knew God would play such a joke on him? Even after Hongshu had consumed the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, he was no match for Duan Lingtian. This was because Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior. At the 11th hour, at the brink of life and death, Duan Lingtian had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior that allowed him to withstand Hongshu's strongest attack after consuming the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill. Once his attack missed, it also meant he no longer had a chance to kill Duan Lingtian. And that Duan Lingtian, to think he's actually a 9-clawed dragon warrior. What did he do to deserve obtaining the legacy of a 9-clawed divine dragon? Damn it, damn it. The moment Lian thought about how Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior, his expression turned grave. I must get rid of Duan Lingtian. I must get rid of him before he grows even stronger. Lian said through clenched teeth after he took a deep breath. The martial Tao and the divine abilities that Duan Lingtian possessed were enough to make him feel wary. Now that he learned that Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he became even warier of Duan Lingtian. If the dispute between him and Duan Lingtian was a minor one, taking into account Duan Lingtian's identity as a nine-clawed dragon warrior, he might have put his pride aside and take the initiative to make peace with Duan Lingtian. After all, he was uncertain if Duan Lingtian had any connections with the Dragon Clan. Although the Dragon Clan currently only had a few seven-clawed divine dragons at the garrison and was only slightly more powerful than the ordinary first-rate forces, the heritage of the Dragon Clan was enough to make him feel wary. Although all of the three great sects were much stronger than the Dragon Clan, they did not dare to simply look for trouble with the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan was an ancient and mysterious clan. This clan had a long heritage in the Dao Martial Saint Land and even surpassed the three great sects too. Who would believe it if somebody said that such an ancient and mysterious clan did not have any trump cards? However, Lian knew very well that he and Duan Lingtian had long reached a point where neither one would rest until one of them died. There was no room to turn back at this point. What he wanted to do now was to kill Duan Lingtian before Duan Lingtian grew stronger. Otherwise, once Duan Lingtian grew into his potential, Lian would definitely die. Before Hong Shu killed himself, he exchanged a look with Duan Lingtian for a moment. I'm sure that in that time, he must have spoken to Duan Lingtian using voice transmission and told him about many things. Although Lian was not present during the battle between Duan Lingtian and Hong Shu, he learned about everything from the spy he sent to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Even the minor details were not left out. Hong Shu has betrayed me. Not only that, but if I'm not mistaken, he must have begged Duan Lingtian to help ask the Hong clan to relocate. How unfortunate. Did he think he'll leave the Hong clan alone after he killed Duan Lingtian? I, Lian, am not such a fool to the point that I don't even know what it means to eliminate a problem by destroying its roots. Lian snorted coldly as he narrowed his eyes. A sneer appeared on his face. 2 days ago, when Hong Shu entered the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, he had already made a trip to the Hong clan and annihilated all of them. The Hong clan was situated in the western region and was not far from the fire worship sect. With his speed, it only took him about half a day to reach the Hong clan. Similarly, it didn't take him more than half a day to annihilate the Hong clan. In fact, he had just returned from the Hong clan. Hong Shu must not have expected that even if Duan Lingtian manages to find someone to warn the Hong clan to relocate, what awaited them is only a pile of ruins. Lian muttered to himself as the smile on his face turned colder. However, I must pass on the news about Duan Lingtian being a nine-clawed dragon warrior and that he had seemingly obtained the legacy of a nine-clawed divine dragon to the Northern Plethora sect in Yangchang. Lian's train of thoughts changed its course. He could not help but analyze the situation as he muttered under his breath, I'm certain after the Dao Martial Saint Land was split into the upper province and the lower province, there was no nine-clawed divine dragon. In other words, Duan Lingtian must not have obtained the nine-clawed divine dragon's legacy from the upper province. He must have obtained it from the lower province. It's possible Duan Lingtian may be from the lower province. The moment he thought of this, he took out an empty jade token and recorded his speculations on it before he sent someone to send it to the first-rate force, the Northern Plethora sect, and to hand it over to their fifth elder, Yang Chong. In the jade token, he had also given a suggestion to Yang Chong. If the search for Duan Lingtian's background yielded no results in the upper province, he could search the lower province. It would never cross Duan Lingtian's mind, not even in his wildest dreams, that Lian was so smart. He could come to a conclusion that he might be from the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land just based on the fact that he was a nine-clawed dragon warrior. Chapter 1980. 2 days later, Duan Lingtian, who was in the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, met with the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guo Shang again. However, Guo Shang had a grave expression on his face. Elder Guo Shang. Upon seeing Guo Shang, an ominous premonition rose in Duan Lingtian's heart. When I arrived, the Hong clan is already in ruins. The entire Hong clan has been annihilated. Guo Shang said in a deep voice, actually, I've already suspected this to be the case even before I arrived at the Hong clan. As far as I know, Lian is a meticulous and ruthless person. It's possible he didn't plan to let go of the Hong clan the moment he planned to use Hong Shu to deal with you. There's no way he would have let the Hong clan go even if Hong Shu managed to kill you. He's probably worried the Hong clan would seek revenge from him in the future. After all, there isn't a wall in the world that doesn't have a crack. The Hong clan would eventually suspect Lian has something to do with Hong Shu's death. As it turns out, Lian has made his move first and annihilated the Hong clan before I even arrived at the Hong clan. How cruel. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. He became deeply aware of how ruthless Lian was. A sense of danger rose in his heart immediately. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Hong Shu, I've immediately carried out the favor you'd asked of me. Unfortunately, Lian has beaten me to it and made his move on your clan first. However, rest assured, I'll definitely send Lian to meet you soon. A hint of coldness could be seen in his eyes when he thought about this. He would kill Lian sooner or later. Suddenly, as though he had just recalled something, Guo Shang said to Duan Lingtian, I plan to head to the Saint Land Enforcement Hall today and file a complaint against Lian for threatening Hong Shu and sending him to the Four Symbols Sanctums, first mine to kill you. However, you'll have to prepare yourself. The Saint Land Enforcement Hall will probably only give Lian a light punishment, and the matter will not spread out all. Can we spread this news ourselves? Duan Lingtian recalled the incident last time. Due to the reason news had leaked out about Wei He, Lian's great direct disciple, he was sentenced to death. Don't be reckless. Guo Shang instantly rebuked him as soon as he finished speaking. He said with a sullen expression, this matter is completely different from before. Previously, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall had acted that way to protect their sanctity. After all, Wei He had provoked the sanctity of the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. This matter, on the other hand, is not like that. Even if news spread out, it's impossible for the Saint Land Enforcement Hall to execute Lian. After all, Lian is a Silver Flame Elder, and he didn't personally make a move to kill you. The most important thing is, nothing happened to you. Guo Shang's haze became complex when he looked at Duan Lingtian as he said, well, maybe the Saint Land Enforcement Hall might consider sentencing Lian to death if you involve the Dragon Clan. Previously, Guo Shang did not know that Duan Lingtian was a nine-clawed dragon warrior. He only learned about this when he returned. With Duan Lingtian's identity as a nine-clawed dragon warrior, his position would not be low in the Dragon Clan. It would be equivalent to the position of an eight-clawed divine dragon. The Dragon Clan. Upon hearing Guo Shang's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but smile wryly as he shook his head. Elder Guo Shang, I have no relationship with the Dragon Clan at all. Not only that, but up until now, I don't even know where the Dragon Clan is located. It's impossible for me to ask the Dragon Clan to intervene in this matter. Looks like the speculations are right. You obtained the legacy of a nine-clawed divine dragon outside. Guo Shang sighed emotionally. Duan Lingtian did not say anything. In Guo Shang's opinion, Duan Lingtian's silence meant that he agreed with him. If I'm not mistaken, you must have obtained the nine-clawed divine dragon's legacy from the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, right? As far as I know, after the Dao Martial Saint Land was split into two, there's no nine-clawed divine dragons in the Dao Martial Saint Land before ever since. Guo Shang speculated. Ever since the Dao Martial Saint Land was split into the lower province and the upper province, no nine-clawed divine dragon had ever appeared since. Upon hearing Guo Shang's words, Duan Lingtian seemed to have recalled something as a horrified expression appeared on his face. Why didn't I think of this before? The reason Duan Lingtian's expression turned horrified was due to Guo Shang's words. He was not surprised when other people speculated that he had obtained a nine-clawed divine dragon's legacy. However, what did Guo Shang just say? Guo Shang actually managed to guess he obtained the dragonization technique from the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Duan Lingtian knew what this meant. If Guo Shang could come to this conclusion, Lian, naturally, could come to this conclusion as well. Moreover, this applied to Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect as well. Damn it, why didn't I think that transforming into a nine-clawed dragon warrior would expose the fact that I came from the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land? I'd have used the Jasper Celestial Sword rather than transforming into a nine-clawed dragon warrior. Duan Lingtian thoroughly regretted his decision at this moment. He knew that he had invited trouble for his family and his friends by doing so. He has given a clue about his own background to Lian and Yang Chong. Duan Lingtian, are you? Guo Shang was puzzled when he saw Duan Lingtian's expression had suddenly turned grave. It's alright, I'm alright. Duan Lingtian shook his head before flashing an apologetical smile at Guo Shang. Elder Guo Shang, thank you for everything that you've done for me. I, Duan Lingtian, will remember this favor. It's nothing. Guo Shang shook his head with a smile before he said solemnly, Duan Ling Tian, with your strength, you'll be able to participate in the Saint Land's assessment and become a Saint Land disciple. However, when you become a Saint Land disciple, you must be even more careful. Right now, you've already revealed your identity as a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Lian will probably not rest until you're dead. He won't fear you. Instead, he'll spare no efforts in killing you. As long as you're alive, he'll feel threatened by you. For this reason, he won't show you any mercy. I understand. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Naturally, he knew this, but he was not bothered by it. He was not worried about his own safety but his family's safety. Elder Guo Shang, I'd like to ask another favor from you. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath as though he had just made up his mind. Then, he prepared a voice transmission jade token and asked Guo Shang to hand it over to Zhu Luqi. The content of the jade token asked Zhu Luqi to make a trip back to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land and ask his family to leave the Azure Cloud Mansion as soon as possible and look for somewhere safe and undiscoverable. He would come and get them in the future when he had dealt with the danger. Apart from that, Duan Ling Tian also asked Guo Shang to help send Zhu Luqi to the inter-province transportation formation secretly without letting Lian know about it. You're from the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Although Guo Shang found it a little surprising, he did not find it so strange. After all, he had already suspected that Duan Ling Tian must have obtained the legacy to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior in the lower province since a 9-clawed divine dragon's legacy would usually only exist in the lower province. As for Duan Ling Tian's favor of asking him to send somebody to the inter-province transportation formation, he could also guess the reason for it. You're worried Lian and Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect, will go to the lower province to investigate and harm your family. Yes, Duan Ling Tian trusted Guo Shang. At the very least, there was no dispute between him and Guo Shang. Not only that, Guo Shang usually stood against Lian as well, so there was no reason for him to betray Duan Ling Tian. Please help me with this, Elder Guo Shang. Once this matter is done, combined with the favor that I owe you before this, I'll owe you a really big favor. Duan Ling Tian said solemnly. He put an emphasis on the words, big favor. Even Guo Shang had no idea why, but when he heard Duan Ling Tian said the words, big favor, he was overwhelmed with emotions. Perhaps, he could see how boundless Duan Ling Tian's future was and the significance of the big favor that Duan Ling Tian promised him. This matter is not a big deal to me. I'll send him off immediately. After Guo Shang accepted the voice transmission jade token from Duan Ling Tian, he left the fire worship sect's first mine and headed to the White Tiger Sanctum to look for Zhu Luqi. Duan Ling Tian stared at Guo Shang when he left. It was only until Guo Shang's silhouette had disappeared that he sighed in relief. With Palace Master Ju's warning, I'm sure father will know what to do. It's fortunate Elder Guo Shang reminded me earlier with his words. Otherwise, I would have been unaware of the danger. When Duan Ling Tian thought of this, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. This danger might lead to deaths if things did not go well. In fact, Duan Ling Tian wanted to personally return to the lower province. However, when he recalled how he was still serving his sentence in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine and would not be able to leave, he dismissed the idea immediately. Not only that, but even if he successfully comprehended the number 1 defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in the Fire Worship sect a few days later, he would still be targeted after he entered the Saint Land. One could say that it would be impossible for him to leave the Fire Worship sect and head to the lower province without alerting Lian. I'll just continue comprehending the Black Turtle's Barrier. In another 5 to 6 days at most, I'll definitely be able to comprehend it successfully. At that time, I'll be able to leave this Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine and head to the Saint Land to become a Saint Land disciple. The moment Duan Ling Tian thought of this, he returned to the Primus house and entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. The 5 to 6 days that Duan Ling Tian meant referred to the time in the outside world. That meant that it would be 50 to 60 days in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. In other words, Duan Ling Tian was confident he could successfully comprehend the number 1 defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in the Fire Worship sect in 2 months.